It's 6 p.m., so we're going to get going here. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're happy to have you here, sincerely. So, good evening. This is the August 12th, 2025, 6 p.m. meeting of the Leominster Conservation Commission. The public is encouraged to follow along with the meeting using the posted agenda. I'd like to ask anyone attending to please silence your devices. My name is Jesse Averka. I'm the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. Before we begin, please allow me to confirm which members are present. Steph Quinlan. Here. Jordan Vashon. Here. Richard Golick.
Here.
Chuck Raymond.
Hi. Hi.
Nick Venti.
Here. Sorry.
Right here.
And Mike Seeke.
Here.
All right. I'll hand it over to you, Chuck.
All right, thanks, Jesse. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we usually don't get this many friends at Concom meetings, so thanks for giving me your support. It's very nice. And so sincerely, welcome, everybody. What we do with each of our meetings is to open it up to the audience. If there's anybody here that's not already here for an agenda item, if you have something that's not on the agenda, if you have any questions or comments, anybody here? Are you all here for? Okay, moving on then. All right, super. All right, under continued hearings, a notice of intent. I'll read it into the record. Notice of intent filed by Maria Amaral for the proposed construction of a single-family home and associated grading at 1018 Lancaster Street. Jesse, is there a DEP number?
Yes, we do have a. Yeah, it's not on that agenda, but we do have a DEP number.
If you could just read into the record, that'd be good.
Yeah,
if you have it there.
Let me pull it up.
I believe the number is 199-1215. I got that earlier. Earlier today, I referenced it.
Photographic memory?
It's the last one up.
Okay.
1215. 199-1215.
We'll see how good your memory is.
All right.
I bet you're right. I don't doubt it.
That's what I wrote down last time. It worked today on the Mass DEP website. Yeah.
1215.
All right, super. Moving on then.
Very good. Nice.
The man is a miracle. All right, so I'm sorry, is there anybody here to present on the topic? Is your representative here? Or?
No, our representative is Replication, the engineer.
Okay. Do you want to come in front of us tonight and answer questions, or do you want to continue it? Have your representative here. So it's totally up to you.
We just call him. He say if any question, if we can you can answer him by phone if it's okay.
I'd kind of rather have him here if that would be a major inconvenience for you. I'd rather have your representative here because he can probably answer questions that you folks can't, technical questions, that type of thing.
All right, and then when could be the next meeting?
Well, the next one will be 2 weeks to the 26th.
Yes.
Yeah, the next one's the 26th.
Okay.
You want to do that? You want to continue to the 20th? Okay. All right. Then I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing for 1018 Lancaster Street to August 26th.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steph.
And on that vote, how do you vote, Jordan?
Yes.
Steph?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And Chuck?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, folks. Appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you.
All right, moving on under new hearings. First up, a request for determination of applicability filed by the City of Leominster DPW for the proposed replacement of pump stations located on Hamilton Street and Prospect Street. So 2 sites done under one RDA. Gentlemen, come on up. And when you get here, please introduce yourselves.
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Larry Rozecki. I'm a civil engineer with Wright Pierce.
Wright Pierce.
With me tonight is Andy DeBerge with our wastewater group.
Andrew?
Andrew.
Okay.
Yep, Andy. And our wetland consultant, Mr. Chuck Karen, is on vacation this week. However, his staff is here. Amber.
Okay.
If there's any specific wetland-related questions.
Okay.
I have a presentation board. I can set up a tripod and do it that way, or if you just want to.
Sure. Johannes,
Or if you just
I have
want
the
to bring it up
plans
on
here and
plans.
a laser pointer.
Oh, you guys put up there? Okay.
Yep.
We can do that.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so,
Yeah, while we're doing that, why don't you go ahead and
yeah.
jump in?
Show that. So the RDA is for work within resource areas adjacent to the Nashua River, as well as isolated BVW on Prospect Street. The city owns and operates 2 wastewater pump stations The scope of the project on the Prospect Street here is to remove and replace, generally in kind. The BVW, the wetland flags, are on the right side of the plan. And on the left, you can see the 100-foot buffer zone. So the gray areas represent where the work activity will be. The pump station will be over-excavated. There'll be some sewer tie-ins within the shoulder along Prospect Street. And then there'll be also a new manhole constructed in line of the existing sewer main that ties into the pump station today. So in general, the scope for this work area is remove and replace in kind with new components, larger capacity, more pump, more flow. The land cover is generally the same, paved areas, gravel areas, adjacent green space. Those are to remain and replace in kind. As far as erosion and sedimentation controls, there's silt fence and silt socks proposed on the plan. You can see on the right side, yes,
Yep.
and then adjacent to the travelway. So that's the general scope on Prospect Street. If there's any wastewater questions, Andy's here to field that.
Anybody, I don't think I had. Anybody in the commission have any questions about that one? No? Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, show that on the on the Hamilton Street project site, generally the same scope, remove and replace the sewer pump station. However, there is a component addition. There's a generator to provide continuous electric service to the sewer pump station. So the river is delineated on the right side of the plan. There's a defined top of bank. There are 3 wetland flags a little bit by the head wall of the culvert crossing. There's the 100-foot buffer zone on the left side of the project plan, and even farther to the left or to the west is the 200-foot riverfront area. That's all city-owned property. There is the adjacent use parks their cars along the front of the Hamilton Street right-of-way. So there will be 2 parking spaces displaced because the fence line going around the generator is getting pretty much match up to the city property line. Again, the land cover in this area is the same. It's generally paved today for parking spaces, and it will be paved as part of the project of the generator pad with concrete pad and then bituminous asphalt up to the driveway. So that's generally the site components. And again, if there's any specific wastewater components as it relates to the generator or the pump station and so forth, Andy's here to field that.
All righty. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I just had a couple quick questions. For the Hamilton Street one, one of the sentences says, the existing bypass connection on the force main will be abandoned in place. What does that mean? What does abandonment actually mean? Just cut it and leave it?
I believe so, yeah. That is the definition of the abandoned in place.
Okay,
So
it's not fleshed out or filled or capped or anything, or? Yeah, I'm just curious. I didn't know what that term meant.
Well, essentially what they'll do is they'll remove it in place. They're going to install a new valve vault right in front of the proposed pump station, and they're just going to install a new bypass in that location where the original one was. So.
No. My question is, what does abandoning it mean? Just cut it.
Yeah,
just cut it and leave it. Oh, you will cap it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think due to the burial depth, the pump station itself is relatively deep. So I think over excavating for that one particular pipe, it's easier just to abandon it in place.
Okay. All righty. And
I was going to say the envelope or the work area is really small. So as far as the overburdened material excavated, that's all going to be pretty much immediately disposed off-site at an approved location.
okay. And now this is not an NOI, so there's no order of conditions to go with this.
Yeah.
But for Hamilton Street, it says erosion controls be placed between all work and the wetlands. We kindly ask that once the work is done, that those erosion controls be removed.
Oh, for sure. After the site's stabilized, typically we go out there and coordinate with the contractor, to conclude that the site's stabilized, 80% or more is germinated prior to giving the go-ahead on the removal.
Okay. All right, good, thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, concerns about this project? Nothing? Okay, good enough, then I will go ahead and,
We're requesting a negative determination. Yeah.
Jesse, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can close the hearing and then, I mean, my recommendation would be a -2 because there's no, I mean, I can read exactly what that is, but I mean, all this is.
Let me go ahead and, actually, let me just go ahead and close it first.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing for this RDA, public portion of this RDA application, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steph.
And on that vote, how do you vote, Steph?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Chuck?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Another unanimous vote.
Great. Thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right, so then,
Yeah, so my recommendation, I'm struggling with this thing, wish it was closer. My recommendation would be a -2, which is the work described in the request is within an area subject to jurisdiction under the act, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent. I went out to the Hamilton Street one with Chuck Karen. I don't have any concerns. I mean, it's essentially, it's repairing infrastructure, and it's
Right.
the only difference is they're putting in that generator to maintain power. So.
okay. All right, good, thank you. Appreciate that, Jesse. All right, with that in mind, then, I'll entertain a motion to approve a -2 determination for the project as described.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Steph. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jordan.
And on that vote, how do you vote, Nick?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Chuck?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
And Jordan?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on then to the star of the show. All right, so let me go ahead and read into the record first. So it was a notice of intent filed by James Lambert for the construction of a residential development at Lot E, Orchard Hill Park Drive, and there is no DP number yet on this. Before we get going, I just want to set everybody's expectations on this. Like I said, there is no DP number yet, so this hearing will be continued until we have a DP number. We'll have the hearing tonight, but we can't close it until we get the DP number and comments from the DEP for that matter. Also, there is nothing in the Wetlands Protection Act that disallows this project, disallows building so close to the wetlands. It's our understanding that this project, as proposed, is permittable under the state's wetlands regulations. Therefore, our job with this project is to condition it as best we can to protect the wetland functionality, water quality, wildlife habitat, and other wetland benefits. Even though pretty much everybody on the commission has questions, problems, concerns with this project, it is permittable. So we're going to condition it as best we can and get information from the applicant. So I also, Jesse, you can add your comments to this if you like, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Forgive me if I'm repeating some of the things that Chuck said.
Let me go ahead and just finish mine first, Jesse.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Also, I expect there's probably going to be some pretty strong emotions in this room, one way or the other. So I kindly ask that we all maintain an air of civility. For those, just so you know how this is going to work, for those of you who have never attended a commission hearing before, the way it works is that the applicant or the representative will present their plan. Once they're done, the commission members will have an opportunity to ask questions, get clarification, et cetera, et cetera. Then I'll open it up to you folks, one at a time. And I'll ask that as you come up to ask questions, speak, whatever it happens to be, state your name and address before speaking. And don't worry, I will get to everybody that wants to speak. And please, and finally, do not interrupt. Let the person speaking finish, and then you can have your say. And I will tell you when you can speak. And you need to keep this thing orderly and moving right along. That said, Jesse, did you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, sure. Let me try to read through this, and I'll try not to repeat anything that we already went over. I guess first I want to thank everyone for coming. I think that a butter notification and input from you guys is a big part of this process, so thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to be here. So I'm going to read a little bit of a preamble just about, kind of what Chuck went over, but just how this is going to go. So under open meeting law, and we're going to let you all speak, obviously we're happy that you're here, but under open meeting law, no person shall address a meeting of a public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. Therefore, the chair of this public body has discretion to decide whether to permit public comment during that meeting and to place restrictions which could include designating when public comment shall be allowed, the time limits for each person speaking, and rules preventing speakers from disrupting others. So like Chuck said, the format's going to be the applicant will present, we will have our questions, and when we get through that, we will open it up to public comments. We're asking that all public comments are held to a duration of 2 minutes or less, and if a comment has already been made and then addressed by the applicant, please do not repeat it in another comment. I also would like to read the 8 interests that are identified in the Wetlands Protection Act. Anything outside of these interests is not in our purview and will not be discussed during this hearing. These are those interests: protection of public and private water supply, protection of groundwater supply, flood control, storm damage prevention, prevention of pollution, protection of land containing shellfish, protection of fisheries, and protection of wildlife habitat. And like Chuck said, we don't have a DEP file number, so this is just an introductory hearing, and then it will be continued, likely to the 26th. I'm imagining that's what the applicant will prefer. So.
If not later, but yeah, probably the 26th, yeah. All right, thank you, Jesse. That said, who is here to present on the project? Please tell me there's somebody here to present on this project. Seriously?
They're in the hall, probably.
Oh, can somebody go get Matt?
They're in the hall.
Oh, they're up.
Got there quicker than I thought we would.
Getting down to business pretty quick, huh?
We are with it for the first two. One of them we continued, and the second one was pretty quick, so welcome.
Welcome, Jesse. Is there any way I can connect to your
Yeah.
computer screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right here. I'll go over here. Hold on a minute.
Got the 10-footer. There you go.
Well, while we're waiting for these folks to get ready, if you could all make sure that you've turned off your cell phones or put them on silent so they don't ring during the meeting, we'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So while I'm setting up, if you guys wanted to introduce yourselves while I'm turning my screens on.
Sure. For the record, Eric DeBrule, Bowler Engineering. For the record, Jim Lambert, Managing Director, Wood Partners for the applicant.
Eric, what was your last name?
DeBrule, D-U-B-R-U-L-E.
Just like it sounds. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Matt Morrow. I am the principal consultant of a local firm known as Morrow Environmental Consulting. Here tonight representing my client who is present, partnering with Bowler Engineering. Also present from my team this evening in the audience observing is my staff biologist, Maldi DaCosta, and the chief administrator and my better half, Irene Morrow, also of Morrow Consulting. So we're going to start off. I'm just going to go over just the basics on bullet points. Can you guys all read that okay? Okay, I'll do my best here.
Can you if you put it on presentation mode, it'll be bigger.
All right.
I think the one just to the right of...
The one that looks like a screen.
Yeah, one more.
Nope. There you go. All the way over on the right. Oh. You guys, actually,
Yeah,
okay.
shooting.
There we go.
There you go.
Super.
So essentially, we have the Orchard Hill development which is proposed here. What we're going to demonstrate tonight is our proposed plan and wetlands compliance with 310 CMR 10.0, which is the wetland protection regulations, and 10.6, which is the wildlife habitat portion of the wetland protection regulations. Again, for the record, my name is Matt Morrow. I am a certified professional wetland scientist, as certified by the Society of Wetland Scientists, and an accredited stormwater professional certified by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. I have, as some of you probably already know, over 35 years of experience in wetlands and wetland protection, as well as different fields of environmental science. So, the location obviously is at Orchard Hill Road. Our client is WP East Acquisitions LLC. The work proposed is development to work within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. We also have 2 wetland crossings that I will review with you a little bit later on in the presentation. The project tonight is being reviewed under the State Wetland Protection Act Regulations 310 CMR 10, as Leominster has no local wetlands ordinance. Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40. The resource areas that are present on site are bordering vegetated wetland, BVW, and buffer zone. Performance standards we're looking for are 310 CMR 1055 for the wetlands crossing and 10.6 for the wildlife portion. It was noted on the state's environmental protection maps that there are 2 potential vernal pools on the property. When they were examined, we did notice that the site, and it's been basically gone over a lot in a lot of different forums. There is amphibian activity present on the property that we've watched for a little while. So we're looking essentially to treat the southern section of wetland that pools up more than the northern section, because that's where we've seen amphibians go in and out of mostly, as far as utilizing ponded water sources. And I would attribute that to the fact that that particular area dead ends up against the trail and tends to build up, whereas the ponded area on the other section actually empties out into an intermittent stream that goes around the corner and out by the industrial section. So what we did was we decided to consider those standards as a cautious approach to the notice of intent.
Vernal pool standards?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the wetland area itself, the bordering vegetated wetlands, were delineated and confirmed by this commission over a very long period in multiple hearings and multiple site walks. It is valid due to the governor's permit extension legislation enacted last year. It is now valid until December. I actually put October in the notice of intent. That, I gotta clarify, was an error. It's actually December of 2027. The potential vernal habitat is located within the bordering wetland. It is an area that is not going to be worked in. It is an area that is going to be left alone. There's no work proposed within the actual wetlands itself, with the exception of 2 access crossings, featuring a 1-to-1 replication area as required under 310 CMR 1055, for a total of 3,260 square feet, which, as the commission knows, up to 5,000 is allowed to be altered and replicated, especially for purposes of crossing. So we're doing under the 5,000, keeping it at 3,260 and replicating 3,260. The proposed work is adjacent to the wetland that does contain potential vernal pools as noted in Mass GIS. There is no, I repeat, no alteration proposed of any of those depressions. The work is designed to avoid any fragmentation of barriers to migration to wildlife, and I will review this with the commission on how that is accomplished. Compliance with 310 CMR 10.6 will have no adverse effect on the amphibian species or their habitat post-development. They will experience no loss of migration pathways and adjacent wetland resource areas that they now utilize and enjoy. The habitat function is retained through maintaining the natural cover in the wetlands. There will be no filler obstruction placed within the wetland resource area. The crossings that are proposed will have properly sized culverts that meet Massachusetts wetland crossing standards to allow for the little critters to cross under, which is actually industry standard. Mitigation measures we have proposed, wetlands will be replicated, the areas that are crossed. The plantings that we're proposing for the wetland replication are consistent with the requirements of 310 CMR 1055-4. That is the one-to-one wetland replication standards. Upland and wetland seed mixes will be used to stabilize soil. Erosion control barriers in compliance with NPDES, state and local requirements for stormwater protection will be implemented. No work in wetlands that is not allowed by an order of conditions other than the crossing. The soils.
Can I ask you one quick favor, Matt?
Absolutely.
Just, for the people who don't know, can you explain what NPDES means?
NPDES means National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. It is an EPA stormwater permit. So in other words, aside from the local permits and the state permits that are issued, you have what's called a construction general permit that will be reviewed by the EPA for this project. The conditions that they issue as part of the stormwater protection plan have to be maintained. There is a certified professional, certified by the EPA like myself, that would have to be present on site and inspect the erosion control barriers to make sure that they are maintaining. If they, if the inspector detects any breaches, they would have to be reported to the local permitting authority, which would be you guys, and the developer would have to immediately fix the breached areas or perform any maintenance work recommended, like replacing wattles. Silt fence will get, torn or go down due to storms, breezes, things like that. They just have to go through and staple them up, repair and replace the fabric fencing. That's what the NPDES stands for.
Good, thank you, Matt, appreciate that, that was helpful.
So any of the work that would be in the wetlands for the crossing usually what winds up happening is that the crossing areas the wetland hydric soils will be scooped out first. The area to be replicated would then be scooped out. And then what normally happens is the wetland scientist, in this case it would be me, I've been contracted for that, would go on site to make sure that everything has been done in accordance and then call you guys or Jesse as your representative to come out, inspect it, compare it with the plans to make sure that everything was done in accordance with the plans with the grading prior to the soils being put in. And then after final planting would be done, I would then turn around, write a report to the commission on it, and have your staff come out and inspect as well. The performance standards summary. It is our contention that the project meets 310 CMR 1055 to protect the BVW, along with the replication, and 310 CMR 10.6. Avoidance and mitigation is fully documented within the notice of intent. It does support the wildlife habitat and stormwater function. Conclusion on just this basic opener, the project is designed to protect adjacent wetland resource areas and potential vernal pool habitat. It's fully compliant with 310 CMR 10.6. And the applicant is ready to proceed after all the final approvals have been granted. With that, I'm going to pull up the plans. What you see in front of you are the overall development plans. I am going to kind of like scroll through them because it is a sizable development. In green, we have the delineated and certified bordering vegetated wetlands here. Bordering vegetated wetlands around an intermittent stream. The intermittent stream channel goes down and exits under the culvert and then goes under Orchard Hill Park Drive. We have a total of 9 buildings that are sought to be constructed. We have 2 wetland crossings that are proposed. The first wetland crossing I will go over with you here. If that's for me, I'm not here.
Did you speak into the microphone by any chance?
Sorry. And just I apologize. I thought my loud Italian mouth would be in. I apologize.
You never know.
And just to repeat for myself, sorry, but please turn off your cell phones or put them on silent. Thank you.
Okay, so is that better, guys?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay. You may also see me take my glasses off and on because I'm at that stage in my life where I can see the computer screen without the glasses, but can't see anything else unless I put them on.
And I'm with you on that one, Matt.
This first crossing is actually coming off the end of the cul-de-sac that has just been newly constructed and would come in here. We would have a parking lot here, and this would connect the other buildings to the other buildings here to allow for flow-through as required by the planning board. So what we have is a proposed wetland filling of 2,160 square feet with adjacent wetland replication here of 1,330 square feet. And proposed wetland replication on this side too. So both of them are basically 2,160. It's 1,130 on each side of the crossing, here and here. And you go way over to the Harvard Street side. On the Harvard Street side, you have another smaller wetland crossing. So the proposed wetland impact area here is 797 square feet. The proposed replication, which I had asked the engineer to place over here, is 800 square feet. This winds up being just a tad over 1-to-1, but I'm essentially calling it a 1-to-1 replication. The replication monitoring plan is essentially in the notice of intent package. So essentially what it calls for, it's a standard replication plan that's required under 310 CMR 1055. So what it would call for is it would call for the replication areas. So in other words, here's the area that's going to be crossed. The hydric soils would actually be scooped out. They would be stockpiled into the buffer zone in the upland. The area for replication would then be scooped out. We would stockpile those as well. At that point, your staff would come out to look at the excavated areas to make sure they were in the place they were supposed to be, in the dimensions and shape they were supposed to be, and that the depth is sufficient, which is what a proper replication should do. To give you an idea, the current replication projects I'm working on, I have a 2,300 square foot replication and an 1,100 square foot replication on the same property in Blackstone that's going very well, and a 24,000 square foot replication I did in the town of Harvard, which utilized the same standards. Scoop the hydric soils out, stockpile them, get the grading ready, have the grading reviewed, and then the soils would be transplanted. So in other words, the hydric soils taken from here would be planted in the newly graded area here, and then the area that was taken out for fill would be placed in. If any extra soil is needed because the hydric soils don't run that deep, which does happen, we will use fine screened loam that will be imported. We won't use raw loam. And the reason why we stuck with the 1-to-1 and we're trying to maintain as much hydric soil and as little loam as possible is what I have discovered is that, especially in a lot of my replication areas that go over 1-to-1, if you use extra loam to tie it in, you wind up inviting invasives that aren't there to come in. So that was the reason why we stuck with the 1-to-1. The same type of procedure will happen on the opposite side where I showed you the larger wetland. Everything will be done at the same time. The crossings, I will work out to be done as rapidly and as soon as possible so that we get them done prior to the work proceeding so that the defined areas of work are clearly established and that the crossings are done prior to the work on the buildings. These replications are something that, you know, it's not something you can just scoop out, shovel, move over, scoop out, and everything's done in a day. It would take like probably a good week to get each area done. So you're talking a couple of weeks worth of construction, inspections, and then reporting to make sure that everything is done correctly. Erosion protection in the form of silt fence and is it wattles that we have or hay bales? I can't recall.
Bales.
Bales. All right, so we're using bales. If the commission decides they want wattles, we can do wattles. Whatever the commission wants on the erosion protection, we'll be flexible with. They will be here and also marked as your limit of work. So they will serve a dual purpose. They will serve the purpose of, you know, protecting the area of wetland area, and they will also work as a limit of work so that nothing traverses into the wetland area, save the crossings if the commission permits the project. With that section, I'm going to ask Mr. DeBrule to review the stormwater management system with the commission. So Eric, if you want use of my computer and you want to scroll around, I'll switch seats with you if you want. Sure. Can I have my glasses, Eric? I'm sorry. Thank you.
So move to scroll out, shift to control, all right.
Okay. Again, for the record, Eric DeBrule, Bowler Engineering, civil engineer for the project. Matt went into great depth on generally the overall project. I'll just focus in on the stormwater management piece of it. Obviously, fairly sizable property, significant amount of topography throughout the property as well. So there's different stormwater management facilities and practices that we've carried throughout the property. I'll just focus in on this side of the property. But from a very high level, all the stormwater is captured through deep sump-hooded catch basins, routed through hydrodynamic separators for treatment, and then prior to being discharged to either 3 bioretention basins on site. There's 1 above ground infiltration basin, and I believe 5 large subsurface detention systems. These are large concrete vault systems with a lot of stormwater volume. On the plan itself, on this side of the development, again, anything circled in blue, those are a couple of bioretention basins. The areas shaded in yellow, those are those large subsurface detention basins.
Eric, can you do me a favor also? You tossed the word bioretention basin around a lot. I'm sure a lot of people in this room have no idea what a bioretention basin is.
Understood.
Could you go a pretty brief explanation of what that is?
Sure. Yeah. So the bioretention basin, it's an above ground surface basin. We'd collect the stormwater before. Let's see if I can scroll in on this one. Collect the stormwater that hits the pavement or the surface. It'd enter into a forebay for pretreatment, and then inside the basin itself, there's a 24-inch layer of treatment media, soil media that's placed that helps for treatment as the water passes through it. And that area is treated with basin seed mix. So the idea of it, you're getting treatment, it's going to look very natural. And then the overflows would then head downstream to where the wetland system is, which is what's happening today. So there's 3 of these on site. These yellow basins, these are subsurface. So these are the below the pavement grade. These are large chamber systems. Stormwater hits the deep sump-hooded catch basins, gets first treatment. Generally is going to pass through a hydrodynamic separator, which is a mechanical, it's like essentially a manhole that gets treatment for TSS and other.
You need to define TSS, please.
Total suspended solids. So it's one of the treatment standards that Massachusetts stormwater standards requires a certain level of treatment. So for the overall development, we're meeting or exceeding that requirement for treatment. Effectively, the water will hit the underground basin, and then it's held back through an outlet control structure, which essentially just doesn't allow the flow of water to go out instantaneously. It holds it back at a rate that will allow it to go out at a rate that's either at or below pre-development conditions, so that we mitigate any potential for flooding downstream. And then the last type of basin is just an above ground infiltration basin. I think a lot of us are probably used to seeing those. You see them, maybe next to a Walmart or a large big box retail center. Just an open basin, seed mix. It'll go and infiltrate through the bottom and then into the subsurface, as you would hope to continue to recharge the groundwater in the area. That's really the high level. Again, I mentioned there are certain stormwater standards that we need to meet. We are meeting it for a new development site. This project, you may know, is being peer reviewed through the planning board process. So the stormwater is being fully reviewed by Fuss and O'Neill. We're on what we hope to be the last piece of their review. We got their initial comment letter, responded. That letter, their next letter was significantly more narrowed down. We responded to that letter last week, and we hope we're within a week or so of receiving, hopefully, their final letter to close out the stormwater peer review. But we're confident. We're really at the just crossing the T's, dotting the I's on their review at this point. I think with that, I can go into much more detail as needed or answer any questions, but I think at this point I'll turn it over to Mr. Morrow for his
Mr.
final-
Chair, could I ask a question?
I was going to wait until after they're all done.
Okay.
Is that okay? All right.
Okay, so one point, well, a couple of points I wanted to reiterate before I conclude mine. Two things. One, again, I'm going to stress this, as I noted in my report and in my notice of intent. I've heard a lot of talk about the wetland delineation. I actually went to the planning board meeting, stood in that doorway for 3 hours, and just listened. I just wanted to hear what the concerns were. I heard a lot about the wetland delineation. You guys worked with me on this wetland delineation before this was even ever conceived. The whole point of it was the ANRAD process reviews the resource areas on the property. This area was reviewed, double reviewed, and reviewed again. Multiple site walks. You guys issued a decision certifying the status of the stream and the wetland boundary. It is locked under a final order of resource area delineation and is final until 2027.
Can you do me a favor, Matt? Can you, for folks in the audience, define ANRAD?
An ANRAD is a process called a Notice of Resource Area Delineation, much like we have here for construction, a Notice of Intent. A Notice of Resource Area Delineation, essentially a wetland scientist like myself goes onto a property, uses the wetland delineation methodology that is accepted for wetland delineation criteria for future construction purposes by the Mass Department of Environmental Protection and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. There are other wetland delineation criteria that I've seen out there used that aren't acceptable for an ANRAD. For example, any USDA standards for delineation are not acceptable criteria for DEP and Army Corps delineations. So I go strictly by the DEP delineation criteria. We noted the bordering vegetated wetland. I exhibited the required evidence to show that conclusively that the stream on site was intermittent. That actually has been relitigated. In other words, it was shown by me and it was shown prior. So I basically injected fresh data into that to reiterate that the area was indeed, in fact, right now we're in a non-drought period, and I've been out there over the last month and the stream's been dry still. So that essentially is final. So as far as the maintenance, so the Wetland Protection Act, put it long and short, the only time animals come into consideration is if there is a marked habitat, marked by the state, on the entire lot. And even then, it's not the project killer that you may think it is. I've actually had subdivisions and apartment complexes and commercial developments go right in the middle of habitats. They just have to meet certain criteria, being built certain time of the year. And one of the most important things is they have to maintain the wetland habitat migration pathway. In this area, there is a strong case for that because the wetland habitat, which is what is protected under the Wetland Protection Act, that habitat, as you can see, and I'll zoom in on it, you can see the wetland habitat is maintained. We still have the habitat going off. It goes on to the easement that is the gas easement that is there, and there is also...
The Jupiter 5.
Yeah, the Jupiter 2.
Jupiter 2, nice one.
Well, I mean, as an aside,
Sorry.
Mark Goddard, who played Major West on the show, was a personal friend of mine.
Okay.
He passed away in October 2023, so I keep that stuff up as a memorial.
Just caught my eye. Go ahead.
Hey, you opened the door.
I did, I'm sorry.
So, here's the parcel in question. So the wetland habitat is maintained through the easement that comes up. You have an 8-acre parcel here, which is permanently protected open space owned by the Leominster Land Trust. and you have 27 acres here that is conservation restricted and permanently protected as part of the Harvard Estates development. So you have a migration corridor that maintains the wetland integrity from parcel E going all the way through to the lot, going all the way through to here. It's common in this area for me to run into the bear that everybody was talking about at the planning board meeting. I've seen him out there more than a few times. He likes the acorns in the fall. I named him Rudy, by the way. Basically it as far as my presentation. I'll answer any questions you guys have, but I just wanted to let you know that that's how we maintain, aside from stormwater protection, the requirements of 310 CMR 10.6.
Okay. So will you do it? No? You had nothing? Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the information. Just a couple of, I'm sorry, Mike, you had said you had a question. You want to go ahead and do that? Yeah, please, go ahead.
Let me make sure I'm on here. So, in regards to stormwater management, what is it exactly that you're treating for? Here's my concern. There's 472 parking spaces in there. There's going to be snow plows. There's going to be Ubers. There's going to be UPS and Amazon and a whole bunch of other stuff coming in there. What do those stormwater filters filter out?
So that all the stormwater that's hitting the pavement that you're speaking of will go through the deep sump hooded catch basins. So that's the first level of treatment. Those will have the sumps that'll pick up the sands, any suspended, solids. The rest of the stormwater will continue down, hit the stormwater quality unit, the hydrodynamic separator, and that will provide additional treatment for the TSS, that total suspended solids. So again, removing some of that turbidity from the stormwater itself. So that's the TSS that we are required to treat to a certain level for the overall property.
So there's no requirement to filter out anything like oil from the vehicles to salt from the trucks?
So the oils would be collected in the catch basins that have gas traps or hoods on them.
Okay.
So those would presumably float and be caught in the catch basin themselves before going downstream.
Okay, I apologize to the commission. I'm on the totem pole of experience, I'm the least scientific of everybody here. I tend to lean more towards common sense and asking the question. So if I don't fully understand something, I want to
Absolutely.
get clarification. Thank you.
All set.
One more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Because this might play through the whole thing. You mentioned that there's work in the buffer zone, and of course, because we do not have a bylaw, there is the ability to move to construct right up to the wetlands that we're trying to protect.
That's correct. As long as you meet the standards under 310 CMR 10, yes, absolutely.
Okay. How do you help us? And we're not in charge of just protecting the wetlands while you're under construction. We're in charge, we're tasked with protecting that wetland after you're gone. You've got 500 cars, you've got how many thousands of people coming in? There doesn't seem to be a lot of open space there. If you're going to be constructing right up to the wetlands, where do people go to recreate? If I come out of my apartment and walk out the door, I'm going to be right in the wetland. How can you help us better manage and protect the wetlands if, when we're not there, there's 1,000 people that are going to be tromping through it? I know when I was a kid, the first thing I did when I came home from school was not do my homework. It was, let's run out and jump in the swamp. Let's go out and play in the woods. And there's a lot of people up there that are going to be playing in the woods, and the woods are the wetlands.
To answer your question, I guess professionally, I still play in the woods to this day. What I can tell you is there is recreational facilities here that are made for the residents. A swimming pool, if I remember correctly, a clubhouse. I also just pointed out that if you walk off to the cul-de-sac and you walk up, there's 35 acres of protected open space with a lot of trails and a very friendly bear that you can recreate with. They're right there. as far as protecting the actual wetlands from being intruded upon, while there are some people that will like to tramp around in the woods, and they probably like to, explore and try to catch things. Little kids do. The one thing you could do here is you could construct not a barrier, but more like memorial markings. Protected wetland resource area, do not go in. You can make it a condition of the lease, the wetland is a protected area and is to be left alone. So anybody that rents an apartment in that area has it in their lease in a neon sign language saying, do not touch anything in the wetland. The whole area is gonna have to be policed for litter. There is a permanent stormwater protection plan post-development that would require maintenance of the stormwater facilities, sweeping, cleaning of the basins, maintenance. Those are the types of things that you should lock in enforcement mechanisms on your permit to make sure that those things are followed through. So what would happen is the developer, which I'm sure the developer does this nationwide, so I'm sure he's done it in other settings, would have to turn in those reports to the commission on a whatever time frame you guys want. Like, for example, during construction, the stormwater protection plan reports can be turned into both conservation and planning, and actually even DPW on a monthly basis or after every rain event, depending on what you guys. I've done it myself. I have areas, I have right now in one community in town, south of Worcester, there is a 36-unit transit-oriented housing development going into an area that is right next to the Assabet River. The swamp is deemed a sensitive area by the Environmental Protection Agency. So the stormwater protection permit planning on that is very stringent, requiring increased frequency inspections. And what I do is when I do the inspection, I submit both, I take my laptop with me here, I submit both photographs of the site and the stormwater report right from the site that day. I mean, whatever you guys decide for reporting, it's not that hard to implement and can go a long way towards your monitoring as well. I hope that helps to answer the question. I can delve into it more.
It doesn't really, but thank you.
I'm just looking at the mechanisms that are commonly used.
I know, and I'm looking at the 3 or 4 buildings that are built right up against the wetlands, and the others. People have to have a place to live, and we understand that. But the ones that are right up against the wetlands, the people that live in those buildings, they're naturally going to want to come outside and enjoy the wetlands right outside their door. And I'm worried about that. I don't know how we can continue to protect the wetlands if there are no protections there or a buffer zone there, and it worries me. The other thing that worries me, and please, if I'm stepping out of bounds, please let me know.
Recreation is kind of is on the line, but go ahead.
Okay, and but during construction, you're going to be basically treeing everything up there, and if you're building right up to the wetland and you start pulling stumps, you're going to be pulling those roots right out of the wetlands. How do you protect from that?
You're not actually pulling any stumps out of the wetlands. You are pulling adjacent to the wetlands, but
the roots don't go straight down. The roots
go out. They go out, but I also know the trees that are there. I mean, you can stump grind in place and leave the root structures in the ground.
I'm worried about the disturbance in the wetlands of the roots.
If you want to put in, as a condition, within so many feet of the wetlands, the stumps can be ground. That would address that issue. There are a lot of different ways we could address issues like that. As far as the remainder of it goes, we have the erosion protection that would be required and the limit of work that would be set up. Mm-hmm. That limit of work is a strict parameter that has to be maintained, and check-in and follow-up inspections between the developer's team and the city would ensure that those areas were maintained and the integrity was maintained.
What's that?
I think I beat the dead horse.
Okay. All right, good. All right, thanks. I'll go ahead and jump in. Matt, we've known each other for a few years now. I think you've probably kind of figured out that I'm kind of blunt, so no reason not to continue that trend. So despite the fact that we don't have our own bylaw here and working out of the Wetlands Protection Act, I honestly was kind of taken aback by how brazenly close that this entire project is to the wetlands. It actually kind of flew to me. I thought it was actually kind of rude. You've got parking lots and other paved services. You've got parking lots and other paved surfaces within just literally a few feet of the wetland boundary, stomping all over the 100-foot buffer. I know you've already described your efforts to reduce siltation and pollutants entering the wetland after it's built. Walk me through how you're going to control that while it's during the construction.
Actually, I did get into that a little bit in my presentation, Mr. Chair. So, construction technique on this is pretty rigid and would have to be rigidly monitored, both by the on-site professionals that the developer hires to oversee the construction work, and with the city's own agents. I know the city has third-party reviews that are watching how the development is going to be phased in. So what you would do is essentially you would put up the erosion protection barriers that are required, ensure that they're effective, ensure that the construction is phased in time appropriately so that there's not a whole heck of a lot of activity going on to the point where people tend to lose track of what's going on. So everything has to be carefully timed. All the erosion protections that are proposed, if approved, have to be put in place to ensure that it is done properly and that the wetlands aren't placed in any danger. And then, again, I had gone into the monitoring during construction. Like the monitoring of the other community I was talking about, that's happening during construction. You have a whole amount of acreage that's sitting there open right now next to a sensitive wetland area that's being actively monitored. And this particular community does have a bylaw. These are the standards that this commission has routinely approved and enforced. This is just on a larger scale than I think has been presented in a very long time. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like I said, the proposal to come within, in some cases, as far as we could tell from the map, within 10, 15 feet or so of that wetland boundary, we thought, I can't speak for the commission, I was very taken aback, so I really want you to get your input on that, so thank you, Matt. Another one. You said you're going to be maintaining the integrity of the wildlife corridor. And I'm sure there's an aspect of that, and your interpretation is probably sound. But I still, with a background in wildlife, forestry and wildlife management myself, particularly associated with that intermittent stream and spots. I have a problem with a functional wildlife corridor being 15 to 20 feet wide. I simply do not think that is enough to maintain some semblance of a sustainable habitat, particularly for the amphibians that they're going to rely on that stream and the wetlands. And I don't necessarily think that there's a comeback for that unless you have one, but I wanted to state that for the record, that I don't think in many cases that width of a wildlife corridor is going to be sufficient. Also coming down behind Target there as well. And can you tell me also going on, can you tell me a little bit more about your thoughts on, I know those vernal pools aren't certified vernal pools, as you said, and as Jesse explained to us as well. But explain to me more about how you're going to treat them. Are you going to treat them as if they are vernal pools? Or go over that again for me, if you will.
Well, that's why I stressed the compliance under state regulation with 310 CMR 10.6. Mm-hmm. The fact that the integrity of this wetland is maintained and allows for these amphibians to be able to migrate through this wetland into the adjacent 35 acres, as well as areas that are off around the Harvard Street site going up into, abutting residential properties. All of that will still be maintained. And the thing I have to stress is the way like salamanders and frogs and other amphibians would migrate through this corridor. You have to understand the only areas that really have any sufficient water ponding are these two areas by the trails. The rest of these, you have a larger wetland system here that is more of an intermittent part of the BVW that drains out and then drains down in this direction and goes off the site. This part of the BVW drains off and goes down the site. This part of the BVW drains here and goes to the pools. You also have 3 acres of a buffer zone that is forested and vegetated uplands going on the easterly side of the development that is not being touched. So you have, it's not just a 10 to 15 foot wide corridor. There's also the fact that a lot of these amphibians, they don't want to stay in waterlogged areas after a certain point, like this point in the time and year. They're going to go in these adjacent uplands, like where I'm circling here. There's adjacent uplands here. They're going to go over here. They're going to migrate. This area right here is like, there are thin streams with hillsides that, you'd be surprised how far their little lakes take them, where they'll be able to go. You have areas that are over here. I mean, there are 2 sides to this wetland, not just the side of the development. So you also have 3 acres of a vegetative strip here that is buffer zone that is being maintained. So because they're not water-soaked and waterlogged areas, they'll actually utilize that area because they can hide under leaves and, these species tend to be nocturnal. They don't tend to like to run around in the daytime. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for them to migrate. It's not limiting them at all. It's maintaining integrity.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Your point is a very fair one, though, and I thank you for asking it.
All right, moving on. So I think you mentioned you'd be amenable to either wattles or hay bales. I think we'd prefer to see straw wattles.
Yeah, correct.
And also, we don't need to confirm this now, but I think the commissioner, certainly I would be prepared to require the applicant to pay to have a third party confirm the implementation of a stormwater O&M plan.
Yes, actually, I did discuss that with my client about the possibility.
Okay.
So, as we had discussed, a stormwater professional would come in and oversee whoever you have doing your stormwater inspections and work with them to make sure everything was done properly.
Yeah, a third party that's not associated with the project.
That's correct.
Right, okay. Oh, yeah, paid by the developer.
Paid by the applicant,
right.
yes.
In fact, the city can always hire one, and then you could pay them. So.
The only thing we would ask, Mr. Chairman, is that we be provided with like a name or a list of whatever firms you are looking at to ensure that, number one, my client has a right to make sure that they're qualified to do the work, and number two, that there's not a conflict of interest.
And that's perfectly fine, but keep in mind that it'll be up to the city. Folks, please, thank you. You would not be in the position of picking it.
No, we just want to make sure.
Right,
but under 53G, we do have the right to make note that, like, there's a conflict of interest or something like that.
That's fine. And I would also, going along with my previous statement about the brazen encroachment into the 100-foot buffer, I personally, I would prefer to see at least a 1.5 to 1 replication, if not 2, just to try to compensate for some of that, like I said, brazen intrusion into the 100-foot buffer. Just thought I'd toss it out there.
I will discuss that with my client.
Yeah,
I mean, we got plenty of time. There's no DEP number issue,
Correct,
so we're going to have to continue anyway.
Exactly. Well, you guys are still in the hallway. I mentioned that to the audience that there is no DEP number. It was going to get continued anyway, so no, I understood. I think that's all I had. Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? Nick?
Yes, to Mr. DeBrule. I noticed the Fuss and O'Neill review of the stormwater management infrastructure plan. They wanted some more, they had some questions about bioretention basins 1 and 2 regarding potential high groundwater during the spring, effectively. Do you want to elaborate on those designs? And I believe the response was that you had some impermeable surface that was going to prevent groundwater from seeping up into those structures. Do you want to just elaborate on the construction of those
Yeah, so I think there's one of the basins, or one of the bioretention basins, after doing test pits to confirm the seasonal high groundwater. Typically you want 4 feet of groundwater separation to be compliant. One of those was closer than 4 feet. So we implemented an under drain essentially at the lower elevation of the soil media, 4-inch perforated pipe, so that if there was any issue with groundwater mounting, would be they'd have no connectivity between the groundwater and the bottom of the basin. And so I think that was the discussion that was going on between the letters. I have it here. I'd have to read it exactly, but I think that's the synopsis of it.
That's right, and you feel that design would be sufficient to effectively do that, to prevent the groundwater from infiltrating into the bioretention basin, or?
Not sure.
That's what that membrane is designed to do. Yes, it's not a membrane. It's supposed to prevent the groundwater from.
The under drain essentially is just a 4-inch pipe perforated. So if the basin was holding water, it could slowly drain out.
Under the bioretention basin?
One of them, yes.
Okay. So is it a one-way valve, or?
Yes, if water entered that pipe, it would then continue to drain out to the outlet structure, which would then go downstream to the downstream wetland.
Thank you.
You say, Nick? Okay. Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions? Steph?
Yeah, what is the expected volume of runoff from these parking lots to each of the basins, and what factors are considered in your runoff expected calculations?
So at a very high level, we analyzed 2 points of drainage design points. One called plan left towards Harvard Street, and then one plan right down towards Orchard Hill Park. So generally under existing conditions, call it half the property goes to each of those points. So under proposed conditions, we're required to make sure that we're meeting or reducing the rate of runoff to each of those design points. And that's the purpose of these basins, to help detain the water and to let it run off at a slower rate or at the same rate, so that we're not increasing the chances of downstream flooding. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head to each basin in terms of what it's holding, but I believe, just for high level numbers, and this is included in the drainage analysis that was provided, but we'd essentially be required under the standard 3 of stormwater management bylaws or regulations to treat 2,500 cubic feet of storage. We're proposing to treat 2,800 cubic feet. 91,000 cubic feet of water volume is being stored, and we're only required for 27,000. So,
Okay.
throwing a lot of numbers out, but I think the basis of your question is: are we going to send more stormwater downstream at a?
Yeah. The base of my question was, in part of your presentation, you mentioned the possibility of overflow from the retention basin, and I was trying to get an idea of what you're expecting maybe to be regularly flowing here versus what the basins are capable of maintaining. I'm trying to figure out how the likelihood of this overflow situation.
In other words, in what capacity?
Yeah. So
I guess, did you at all try to oversize the storage capacity of these things to prevent?
Yeah, so all of the basins are exceeding the requirement that were from the stormwater management system perspective. We're effectively reducing the rate of runoff leaving the site. And so the basins are oversized to be able to accommodate all the way up to the 100-year storm and make sure that we're reducing the peak runoff rates.
Okay. Thank you. That does answer my question. I did have a follow-up question related to the wetlands in the crossings.
Please.
So With the slope there, with runoff that is coming down these asphalt paved areas, how are we going to protect the wetlands adjacent to these crossings?
Okay, so you're talking about the existing wetlands and the replicated wetlands like here, for example?
Correct.
So essentially, all of the runoff that is from pavement is caught in a stormwater management system. Areas adjacent to the roadway are actually going to be vegetated, so they will wind up having vegetated filtration normally. But the rest of it that would be in paved areas would be caught by the stormwater management system and routed that way.
Okay, maybe you can explain that to me a little bit better. Maybe if we zoom in on the one on the left side there.
This one?
No.
Oh, the other one. Okay.
Yeah. So it does look like there's a pretty steep grade on that paved area. How is runoff going down that driveway going to be captured by this stormwater management?
You mean this area right here?
Yeah.
So essentially what would happen is anything that is within the paved area would be caught by the, the berms and would be put into catch basins and then routed into the stormwater system, either through the detention basins or the underground chambers.
Okay,
Anything to
so
the sides of them would be vegetated.
okay, so there will be berms and bordering vegetation.
That's correct.
Okay.
So it's the typical hardware, berms, catch basins, separators, and then on the sides of the road, everything's vegetated so that whatever falls from the sky that lands on the vegetation will be handled that way. So typical.
Sure. Okay, I will say I am a little bit concerned about salt in these areas specifically. And my other comment was just that I wanted to say that I agree with the other commissioners with considering this parcel as a migration pathway, as a wildlife corridor. It's a full package. It's the light pollution, it's the sound pollution. These are, especially with nocturnal creatures, I don't think anyone's going to give them directions to the 15-foot wide section where they can get through it, right? They're going to suffer. Okay, if anybody else has any questions.
Jordan?
Yeah, I've got just a couple questions for Eric first. In the report, I did see mention that the roof leaders from the roof drainage system were going to be tied into the storm drain system. Is that still the intent of the plan, and would that reduce capacity for the amount of storm water that can be managed off the roads?
So the roof leaders from the roofs are tied into the stormwater system, and they've been designed to accommodate for pipe sizing and the volume. That's all part of the overall calculation.
Okay, thank you. And then on the plans, there's a handful of different segments from catch basins to outfalls to basins. Would every single one of these have a hydrodynamic separator before it falls out into a basin?
I believe the majority do.
The one of concern was the subsurface one toward the middle that we kind of zoomed in on earlier. It looks like there's a handful of drains that all flow into that.
Yeah, so a lot of the catch basins will then run to that separator, which looks like a manhole. So it's not the unit itself isn't the catch basin in most instances on this.
Okay.
Do we want to zoom in on the exact one? Maybe we can, if you have a very specific concern, we can look at that one. Is that in the center of the development?
Yeah, a little more to the left, kind of by the dog park.
Left.
Is it this one?
The yellow one a little to the left, yeah.
This one, okay.
Gotcha. Just tell you specifically. Yeah, there is a hydrodynamic separator unit collecting from the left side that enters into that one. So I can at least confirm that one. And most of them do. I'd have to go through every one just to be sure. But what I can say is overall, we're exceeding the 80% requirement for treatment for the overall development. I think we've calculated 88%.
Okay.
Based on the pre-treatment from catch basin as well as those units.
Okay, thank you. And then another comment, just while we're in this section of the map, one of the plans I was looking at indicated that the darker black box in this plan is to be a dog park. I'm really concerned about how close this is to the wetland buffer, and if it is to be a dog park, I'm concerned about fecal coliform runoff from that right down that slope into those wetlands. I'm curious if there are any plans to reduce or mitigate that in any way.
I think we'll take the comment and address it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to my client about what we're going to be doing or what he's going to be doing for maintenance on that section. What I can tell you is that, while obviously it is common that dog feces or any feces containing coli, the amount of neglect that would have to happen here would be severe before that would be an actual thing. So I will talk to my clients about how they're going to do them. Excuse me, folks. I kind of have the floor here.
Talk to minimum, please. Appreciate it.
I will talk to my client about his maintenance schedule, and we can address that at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You know
That's all I've got.
Before we go to the next one, I just had a follow-up comment and a couple of new questions. One of the reasons I asked for a 1 to 1.5, if not a 2.2 to 1 wetland replication, the increased cost of that will be a rounding error for the project of this type. I don't see it as being a major inconvenience at all. And I'm glad Steph mentioned the salt. I know obviously salt is, you're incorporating that into your stormwater management plan. Have you thought about any alternatives to salt? Do you think it's needed at all? Do you think your stormwater management plan is sufficient to capture that salt, keep it from running into the wetlands?
I think we address it at the next meeting. There are alternatives that we can talk about, but
we'd have to consider management.
Yeah, I mean, the way the stormwater management system is designed, it should mitigate that issue so that it shouldn't be an issue. However, alternative means of ice melt, we will talk to the property management company about to see if there's something that we can propose.
All right. One more question, you can jump back in.
Okay.
Was it about salt?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask how the system as it is being proposed would address that, because it sounds like it's addressing dissolved solids, but I just don't know if salt is going to be filled. Like, I don't think it's not going to be something that's going to come out of suspension. Right? Yeah. So you're saying it's being addressed. I'm just asking how.
Okay. So,
Matt,
did you want to talk about the?
quickly, Matt, following up on Stephanie's, the systems you've described would take care of suspended solids, but not dissolved solids. Salts will be dissolved. I do not see how that removes them.
Okay. Do you have any mechanisms that you'd like to address on that?
let's regroup and respond.
All right, so you'll regroup on that one. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Can I say one last salt comment?
You may.
We're harping on salt today. Just looking at the slide 24 for this plan, that's the snow storage plan, and in New England, you salt the impervious surfaces, and you're always left with a ton of leftover salt that all gets scooped up when you do plow. And it looks like over towards that Harvard Street wetland crossing, there's a pretty big proposed snow storage area that's, essentially right up to that wetland line. So that's something that, I don't know if there's another area that you can find, but that's certainly something that makes me nervous with, salt and all the other contaminants that, with that many cars being in the parking lot, there's gonna be all sorts of crap in there. And I don't think there's any sort of treatment or anything that is stopping these snowbanks from accumulating all of that and then melting it and depositing it straight into the resource over there.
Yeah, we'll be happy to look at that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
All right.
Thank you.
And one final question. You mentioned 100-year storms. Was that what you designed to, was a 100-year storm?
We analyzed the 100-year storm. Pipe sizing was for 25-year, but it wasn't necessary. I guess your question.
Well, the reason I'm asking with and I'm going to use the term climate change, global warming, extreme weather events, whatever you want to call it. I would assert that design to a 100-year storm is almost professional negligence at this point. With changes in increases in rainfall amounts, I would urge you to probably design to a 250, if not a 500-year storm. Look at the storm we had a year and a half, well, almost 2 years ago now. That was ridiculous. That's going to happen more often. So I would prefer you see design this to a higher rainfall amount.
In terms of pipe sizing, or
all of that, yes, yeah. Okay. The ability to effectively capture the amount of stormwater runoff and its pollutants and everything else that's going to come with a 100-year storm, 250, 500-year storm. They're going to be more. In fact, they already are more common than they have been. So. I would encourage you to look at that and increase the size of your storage capacity if possible, and the whole management plan.
Okay, and as I mentioned, the peak runoff for the 100-year storm is reduced, so we are making it pre and post conditions.
That's my point. I think 100-year storm is designing that is insufficient at this point with the changing weather patterns.
Understood.
That's what I'm getting at. That's all. Anybody else? Michael, Rich, please.
Thank you, Chair. I've been looking through the stormwater operation and maintenance plan, so I had asked for Chuck to bring up the concept of this third-party inspector. Sure. What I don't see in here, Matt, is in the long-term pollution prevention plan. How long is that? It doesn't say how long it'll be done. 2 years, 5 years, 10, 20? How do the residents nearby or the ones who live there, how are they assured that the owner, the developer, would still be paying for this? I don't see any of that in here. Would like that addressed.
Did you have anything to say to that?
For the stormwater operation, I mean that's.
It just says long-term. There's no definition of long-term.
I think it's a perpetuity, typically a standard condition, I would imagine, from the.
And how is that financially supported that it goes through perpetuity?
So it would have to be part of the operational budget for the management company. So in other words, when these facilities are built, they become just like anything else, a maintenance item. So there has to be a budget for the maintenance. So that, again, was the follow-up documentation that I referred to. There was going to be the pre-development documentation that we're going through right now, the post-development documentation for the completion of the project, and then ongoing documentation that should be submitted to the city and the commission to ensure that things are ongoing and properly maintained. It's something that a lot more cities and towns are actually taking on, is having all of that done in perpetuity.
I'd like to see more of it in writing for us. Thank you.
Yeah, no, fair point. We will definitely work to address that, absolutely.
That's good. Thank you, Rich. Anybody else? Yeah, Jordan, please.
I'll add another thing while we're talking about the long-term plan, comparing that to the stormwater operation and maintenance plan. The O&M plan mentions sweeping the lots and parking lots at least 4 times a year, and the long-term plan required sweeping at least 2 times a year. You don't need to respond right now. I just wanted to bring it to your attention so it could be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
I believe that's 4 times plus other times as needed. So it's a minimum of 4.
It's a minimum, yeah. It's a minimum. So if there are other circumstances that would dictate extra sweeping, that would have to happen. And again, that's where your follow-up documentation to the commission, the DPW, that's where that all comes in.
So would that follow through to the long-term plan too, that says a minimum of 2 times?
Yeah, it would have to.
Okay. Awesome, thank you.
Good, thank you, Jordan. Anybody else? Okay. All right, with that, apparently the commission is done with questions, comments, concerns. This is only the second time we've ever met in this council chamber. Do people come up to the podium? What do we do?
I think that would be easiest, and I have a sign-in sheet. If everyone could write down their name and their address, that would be very helpful to me.
All right, and one at a time, please. Sir. Sign in, and also for the record.
That's my line.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
After you finish doing that, just if you could just, for the record, state your name.
Absolutely. These are usually at the door when we come in, but.
Is that microphone on?
Pass that around.
Oh, there you go.
That's on.
Yeah, you can pass it around.
Trust me, at this one, I probably won't need this. Just procedurally, I was kind of shocked at your opening statement that this has already been approved before the hearing.
I did not say it's been approved. I did not say, you go to the record,
Okay,
I did not say it's been approved. I said it's
apologize
permittable.
then. Okay.
As proposed is permittable. I did not say it's proposed.
I
it's
apologize, I misunderstood.
approved. Carry on.
Okay. Matt, I really do like your classmate, but...
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, did you state your name and address, please?
Yes, Bill Brady, 214 Harvard Street, Leominster. My concern tonight is surrounding a conflict of interest with the notice of intent. I'm asking the Conservation Commission to reject the filing on the basis that it was prepared and submitted in violation of Mass General Law because the agent, Matthew Morrow, is legally prohibited from acting in this role on this land parcel. Why do I say that? Commonwealth of Mass General Law 266A, Section 5, 12, and 18 prohibits former municipal employees from acting as agents receiving compensation from anyone other than their city, town, or municipal agency in connection with a particular matter that is a concern to the municipality and in which they participated as municipal employees. Mr. Morrow was a conservation agent of record for the city of Leominster from 1992 to 2006. During that time, he was involved in the review and decision on the Order of Conditions DEP file number 199744, which was issued by his department on September 10th of 2003, recorded in Book 5117 on page 361. This order is specific to the same land parcel for which Mr. Morrow has drafted the notice of intent and submitted on behalf of the client. This notice of intent is actively prohibited by the Massachusetts Conflict of Interest Law. It's a lifetime ban. Any action other than rejecting this notice of intent will result in a defect of the order and a legal basis to challenge the process. It also could result for a civil penalty up to $10,000 per violation to Mr. Morrow.
Thank you. Matt, do you want to address that?
Yeah, actually, I find it kind of unfortunate, having known Bill for a number of years, that if he felt I was in conflict, he just didn't have the courtesy to approach me prior to this hearing.
You didn't have the courtesy to tell me you were ruining our neighborhood.
Excuse me.
Mr. Brady.
I have the floor now.
Mr. Brady, one at a time, and please no yelling.
So the forever ban, he's correct. There is such a thing as a forever ban. What he's missing is the point, and I check in with the Ethics Commission on these things regularly, is that this is a new project. This is a whole new project. There was nothing that was ever proposed on this. There was no housing that was ever proposed on Parcel E. This is what is known as a new matter. I am more than free and not in conflict to participate in this matter. If he doesn't want to buy that explanation, he is free to report me to the Ethics Commission, because I'll be more than happy to address it with them, because I already have. I do it all the time.
Richard, you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Morrow has come before us many times on other cases. We have yet to hear an objection. So all these other cases, if you are correct, Mr. Brady, would then be void.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So again,
And
to
this
address that?
parcel, excuse me, can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
This Parcel E was part of the whole process of this target. It doesn't matter who owns it or how they divide it up. You are banned from doing this. You use your influence in the city in order to gain financial gain. That is against ethics.
In the interest of saving some back and forth and a little bit of everyone's time here, I'm happy to talk to the Ethics Commission as, sort of. I mean, I guess I'm involved because I work as the agent in the city now, but I'm happy to check into this on my own and see what their take is. Can report back on that at the next hearing, and then it'll be coming from me working for the city rather than from Matt.
Yeah, please feel free. I mean, I've actually refused projects that people asked me to do, like certificates of compliance on other projects, because I had participated in those specific projects. So I said no, because the lifetime ban does apply to those. This actually was brought up when I was working for another developer in town after I left the city's employ. I regularly check in with the Ethics Commission on these matters to make sure that the forever ban doesn't apply here. The forever ban doesn't apply here. That's just not a thing.
Jesse, please look up 199-744 and share that with the commission.
Yeah, I have that
The one that
taken
Mr.
down.
Brady referred to.
Okay,
744 was the construction of the Target Plaza.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be happy to look into all of this, and we have plenty of time before the next meeting, so.
Thank you, Jesse. Anybody else? Ma'am?
I have a question. Hi, my name is Lisa Contreras, and I appreciate
I'm sorry, Mr. Contreras, your address, please?
I'm sorry?
Your address?
68 Cloverleaf Road.
Thank you.
It sounds like you have obviously extensive experience in the wetlands. My question is, will the wetlands continue to be monitored throughout the build?
Actually, that's an excellent question, and the answer is yes. It would be a requirement under the notice of intent, and the commission normally would require it in their order of conditions that they be monitored.
And what happens if, the outcome wasn't what we expected with the wetlands? What happens? Is the horse already out of the barn?
As
and there won't
far
be-
as,
Yeah,
like,
so-
if something
so
happens to
we're assuming, right, that the living creatures of the wetland won't be impacted, right? Is what I'm hearing. That's what we assume, right?
That's what we're
Through
asserting, yes.
Through your research, okay. But what if there's unknown circumstances that do cause these creatures to be affected? What would happen?
Well, then we would have to figure out exactly what the circumstances were that affected them and address it immediately.
So it will be monitored throughout the whole build?
It has
And
to.
what happens after the build? Will it still continue to be monitored after the build?
The
And what
manage-
happens if the wetlands, excuse me, are impacted negatively after the build? What happens?
So the management company that's involved has to monitor the grounds, the wetlands included. So if there's a problem, it should be a requirement that they report it. And that's something that, like, if the commission approves this project, could be made a perpetual condition that would be recorded on the deed. So, and if another management company buys this, it would show up like a sore thumb on the deed during closing.
But it kind of sounds like it'll be kind of at that point too late, though.
Ma'am, what I might encourage you, if I may, what I might encourage you to do is if you are able to, if you or any of your neighbors or friends if you think you see something that I don't see the salamanders I used to see, or I don't see the frogs, or what have you, let Jesse Averka, the agent, know. And
How do we document that, though?
Well, that's
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I've been researching the wetlands. This gentleman has. He's got documentation. He's got, right? He knows what's going on with the environment. The salamanders, I would imagine birds, right? I mean, I don't have this much experience, but birds, right? Fish. What other creatures there may be, maybe that we haven't mentioned, right? So how would we document that?
I was thinking through observation. It was just that people that are in the area will hopefully tend to see noticeable variations in. Obviously, you're not going to notice variations in salamanders because you never see them, rarely see them anyway. But I would ask anybody if in the audience if you're concerned about it, if you have and want to raise that issue. During or after construction, so let the agent know.
Okay, thank you.
And we can thank you, Rich. We can always ask for continued inspection documentation from Matt as part of the order conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, we need to bet the microphone, please. Yes. If you can state your name and address too, please, and sign in too if you could too.
Yeah, they're passing it around.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm Ray Terrio, 71 Stagecoach Road.
Okay.
I'm abundant to the up above there on conservation land.
Okay.
Now, since the construction has already started, most of us didn't really know that much about it, but they're blasting. I have a pond behind the house, and it's gone now. You know what I mean? I don't know why it's drained away, but the last 2 years it's drained away. No more ducks. It's gone. So I don't know if it's from the construction, but it's affecting that area as well, I believe.
Okay.
What was your address, sir?
71 Stagecoach Road.
71 Stagecoach. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm abundant to the conservation land
Okay.
right above there. And I had a pond there that's always had water in it all year long. And like I said, the last 2 years, it's been gone.
My wife's writing this down, so I'll check into it for you.
Also, has construction started?
Well,
No.
they did that roadway and all that stuff. We have a lot
No,
of,
sir.
We have a lot of blasting up there, and I don't know if it's the quarry.
He's referring to the industrial roadway. There's a lot of earth moving in that roadway, the cul-de-sac.
But that has nothing to do with this project.
It doesn't have anything to do with this project, but I mean, fair question. I'll check it out.
Okay.
Well, it's got to do with the waterways or whatever. You know, I know we have a quarry up there, we have a lot of blasting. I mean,
Okay.
we have an earthquake twice a week up there, so.
Okay. Okay. I'll check that out. Thank you for letting me know that.
Sir, name and address, please.
My name is David Rowlands. I live at 49 Brayburn Circle in North Leominster. I was a city councilor in Leominster for 10 years. I lived this project before it was built, all the way through, did all the rezoning for MU2, understand this project, the developer. And I know Matt Morrow very well because I was on the city council when Matt was working for the city. First of all, I want to make a couple statements to what Mr. Brady said, that are the comment that this is a new project. The history of this place, if you go back, it was originally zoned industrial. It was built under rezoning that allowed called mixed use. Mixed use had to be just that. It had to be considered multiple uses. It had to be viewed in its entirety. There's a long story of how the zoning was manipulated, but this was originally built under multi-use when you had to look at the multiple uses, not one, not commercial only, whatever. Now, later on, it went to MU2, which was, again, a multi-use 2 zoning. You don't just take individual sections and isolate them and talk about those individually. It is a multi-use project viewed in its entirety. So I think there's some clarity there that goes to the point that this is a new project. It's part of the multi-use project. Originally mixed use, then multi-use. The other point is, I think this, I don't want to get into the details of this, but I think there should be some, I know Matt's history with Leominster in detail, and I think this body should pay for a third party to come in here and do this, a study that's totally independent and away from what's being paid for by the developer. I don't want to expand on that. Call me if you want details as to that, but there's an issue of that I think it's very important there in terms of not just qualifications, but in terms of trust. The other point I want to make is I probably lived through 1 million of these projects as a city councilor. Site water, this is what they base on, and to chairperson, I want to compliment you on your statement. They're all based on, you catch a catch basin that catches the 100-year flood, and you release the water at no faster than it was before you built the project. I've lived through 3 or 4 100-year storms, and I lived through a 500-year storms. I'm old, but I ain't that old. A 100-year storm is totally inadequate. No question about it. We had the reason that Leominster had so much problems when the other storm was a 500-year storm. Statistically, only supposed to happen in 1 in 500. The 1 in 100 happen every 5 years now. So if you're relying on that, and if you got piping that's 25-year storm, that happens every year. I mean, forget it. And the other point to this is, what I've lived through is there's a huge amount of maintenance, and the city simply doesn't have the resources to go out there and maintain these things. And you talk about oil runoff and all that, believe me, it's going out there. It is going to go out there. Salt's going to go out there. We can do a certain amount of job in the city, but I've seen 1 million of these things where they're not maintained. They don't be kept up. You know, first couple years, it's all good. 5, 10 years down the road, huge amount of growth. And the reason I know that is because as a ward councilor, you live it. You get calls when the flooding happens and the neighborhoods are wiped out because of it. So the point is, you have to be really, really strict with the follow-up to make sure the money's there, to make sure the inspections are done, make sure the reports are, and I would err on the side of being really strict because the scale of this project is simply way too big. It's too big for North Leominster, it's too big for this area, it's just on the edge. So, when MU2 was done, it was done with the intention of a special permit to control the scope and size. Unfortunately, and I think misleadingly, that was wiped out, and the special permit was wiped out a couple of months ago without bringing this project forward. And once they had that, then they had the green light to go ahead. And I think that's a really disservice to the city. So I'm asking you, as one of the most important bodies now, because it's built, can be go in by right, is to really enforce the conditions on this project. Make sure that they have the money, the time, and the effort, because the city doesn't. The city, I'll just give you one simple example. When this project was built, Walmart and Lowe's was built the same time with the same mixed use. They came in and they presented the same thing, all great. You know what happened over there? It was a huge collapse that wiped out a river over there 3 or 4 years after that project was built. Guess what happens? There's nothing you can do. It's over. It wipes it out, and they say, we're sorry. And they blamed it on rodents. So my point is, do your homework to be really strict here, because I'm telling you, this is not going to be maintained 10 and 15 and 20 years down the road unless you really put strong conditions on there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Rachel King. I live at 55 Sky Lane in Leominster.
Good evening.
Good evening. I have identified significant inconsistencies in the reported parcel size across the project documentation. The notice of intent lists the parcel at 17.95 acres, while the stormwater drainage report cites 19.95 acres, and other materials show 19.42. This discrepancy raises serious concerns about the accuracy of watershed modeling, stormwater calculations, and regulatory applicability. It's also unclear if additional impervious surfaces, such as the cul-de-sac roadway, are included within the project boundary, which further impacts calculations and assessments. To ensure transparency, accuracy, and compliance with regulatory requirements, I respectfully request the Commission require a new professionally certified site survey to do the following. 1, accurately establish the parcel boundaries and total acreage. 2, provide consistent data for all reports, stormwater models, and permit filings. And lastly, facilitate a reliable review of the project's environmental and hydrologic impacts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I'm gonna stick with my notes this time. I'm gonna give this to Jesse. It's just a longer version of what I'm gonna say.
Okay, cool.
Less of a conversational format.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I've got this.
I'm sorry, if you could just state your name and address.
My name's Connor Byrne. I live at 284 Harvard.
Thank you.
I'm one of the main abutters to this project on 2 sides, and I think I saw Matt Morrow walking at some point, and I'd like to thank you for waving and saying hi, because here it is at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking at these goons behind my property and thinking, who the hell is walking back here? And then Matt says, hey, how's it going? Starts a conversation. So thank you. That went a long way to diffusing the situation.
I'm often confused with a grizzly bear in a vest.
So you're a conversational goon. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
pretty much.
So, members of the Conservation Commission, thank you for being here today. To ensure adequate protection of wildlife habitat associated with the proposed wetlands replication at Orchard Hill Park Drive, I'm respectfully requesting that the Commission require the applicant to provide clear documentation regarding the involvement of Mass Wildlife and the Army Corps of Engineers. Given the significant ecological value of wetlands and potential presence of state-listed rare or endangered species in the area, including but not limited to the tricolored bat, long-eared bat, small world begonia, monarch butterfly, American bald eagle. There are also some endangered grasses in the area. The Commission should require confirmation that a mass wildlife review under the Massachusetts Endangered Species Act has been completed. This includes issuance of any necessary conservation and management permits, or a determination that no such permit is required. Advisory input or formal permitting by Mass Wildlife is critical to ensure that the replication efforts adequately protect state and federally protected species and their habitat. The applicant should also provide evidence that any required Section 404 Clean Water Act permits from the ACOE, Army Corps of Engineers, have been obtained, or that the project has been coordinated with the ACOE to determine jurisdiction. Since the replication area involves wetland impacts, the ACOE should be brought in to provide oversight to ensure compliance with federal environmental protections. Now you might be wondering, why did I bring this up? Well, I'd like to remind the Conservation Commission of a precedent where both Mass Wildlife and the Army Corps of Engineers were involved in a project in the town of Leominster. Back in August of 2018, this was before obviously I moved here, bought the house in December. Mind you, I bought the house when it was residential, and it shows residential on my deed, and then, you know, come to find out I'm agricultural. Who knew? Anyway, August of 2019, Leominster Stormwater program involved both agencies, and yet it was a much smaller project. I request, respectfully, that the Conservation Commission hold this much larger project to the same rigorous standard. On to my questions. So I was curious, looking at these maps, you have a couple of catchment basins for stormwater. I was wondering what the sanitation plan will be for this apartment complex. Is it gonna be septic? Is it gonna be sewer? I'm assuming it's sewer, but I'm curious.
Yeah, it's sewer. I mean, the way this thing is laid out,
Yeah.
Title V would never happen.
Sure, so in the event that the catchment basins are at their limit, and we get a once in 100 year, once in 200 year. Obviously, I'm not necessarily familiar with Central Mass. My background is with the Division of Marine Fisheries, so I'm more inclined to know about outfalls with Greater Boston Harbor and Merrimack. In the event that we get one of these large storms and your catchment basins are at their limit already because we've had lots of rain. I mean, we had 14 weeks of it at the beginning of the summer. What's gonna stop this runoff from overwhelming the storm drains, going into the sewers, and then either backing up into somebody's apartment, backing up into the storm drain management system? Many times they are intertwined at some point, and most people don't realize that stormwater usually does, well, I mean, you're shaking your head, but go ahead. I'm just curious because, you know, obviously.
You said they're intertwined. That's usually not the case in a new one. There is infiltration into sewer systems, especially if they get older. You are correct about that.
So is that not the case here? Are they going to be completely separate systems? Are you going to be, is there some way to?
Yeah, so the stormwater and the sanitary sewer are completely separate systems on site.
Yeah,
I'm not aware of any.
Leominster hasn't been a CSO community in a while.
Right, there's no combined sewers down to the treatment plant.
I had a second question, which was, obviously the commission's really concerned about the brazen, I forget how you put it. They're building straight up to the wetlands. I'd like to posit the question primarily to the commission, but also to the developers. Why not downsize the project? Why not move? Why not move a couple of the buildings so you have more of a buffer zone? And then these questions about wetlands protection, these questions about runoff, these questions about salt wouldn't be as big of an issue.
Yeah, that's not a question for the commission. That's a question for the applicant.
Would you care to chime in?
I can't answer that. I mean, we'd have to talk to the property management company about that possibility. So at this point, I wouldn't be prepared to answer that question. But I will pose it. I'd also like to address, because I actually thought there were some pretty good comments there.
Please, go ahead.
So with regard to the elevated permit levels, none of the work that's here has met that threshold. So there's no endangered species habitat overlay here. I've heard talk about like a bald eagle sighting in the area. There's bald eagle sightings all over the place now.
Right.
So what's happening is there is a nesting habitat over at Lake Shirley. So, you know, the eagles tend to forage around to the National River, back to the open water bodies. As far as like the bats and even like the monarch butterfly, what the EPA does now, and that's actually my point, because that was a good question that you raised. So whoever my clients retain to do the stormwater permit protection plan through the Environmental Protection Agency, there is what's called an IPAC section. So the IPAC section essentially is a section where that person would turn around and they have to log into the the federal endangered species database. And if there is like tricolored long-eared bats or the monarch butterfly, not even on the property, but in the vicinity, they then have to submit a biological analysis as to how this won't disturb those habitats. And that would have to be considered by the EPA. So, I mean, that is actually considered. It's a good point.
And looking at my notes, I do have a follow-up question, because I'm assuming the construction isn't going to be started this winter. I do have what I'm intending to call a certifiable vernal pool on my property. Assuming that a species analysis is performed in the spring, would that then be taken back to the developer and you would essentially honor that and alter your plans to not construct within 100 feet of that vernal pool?
It depends on what the species are. If you have a vernal pool that's certified where you have facultative species, then I'm going to have to talk to the endangered species, well, the vernal pool section about it. If you have areas that they're facultative organisms, it doesn't hold as much weight, but there would have to be something applied.
Matt, did you mean obligate? You said facultative in both cases. Did you?
I'm sorry, I meant obligate.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
So the first one, if there's obligate species, then yeah, I'd have to talk to the endangered species program about what they want to see. Knowing where your property is, I think it would be readily addressable. If they're facultative species, the weight isn't as heavy.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good questions. Anybody else? Ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Liz Macarella. I live at 75 Hubbard Street. I've lived there over 2 decades now. When I bought that property, Target wasn't there. It was a field. It was really nice. That aside, I'm professionally an architect, registered in the state, so I can read this plan. I don't think any of the creatures currently living there can read this plan. You made a really good point earlier, and I totally agree with you. Some of these, like downsizing these corridors to the minimal that they've done, they're not functional wildlife corridors. You can look on a map and say that they're connected, but it's not gonna function the way a wildlife corridor needs to function. Removing everything right up to these wetland lines, so you have no buffer, functionally you're not gonna have no impact to those wetlands. There's no way you can say that because you're only going up to that line, you're not impacting the wetlands. It doesn't make logical sense. So to me, there's a difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. What you're tasked with is, among the different things you're tasked with, or assessing the impact to these wetlands, because that's your purview. It just doesn't make sense that because you're adhering to a line, you're not impacting them. Functionally, you are impacting them. If you're taking away the trees right up to them, whether you're leaving some roots and grinding stumps in place, you're impacting those wetlands because what was adjacent no longer is. The shade from those trees are no longer there. The creatures are going to be impacted. Even if you don't care about the creatures, the quality of life for the people who are living there is going to suffer because, to your point, they have no area to recreate that isn't going to be wetland or swamp. One of the houses I looked at before I moved to Leominster, when I opened the back door, it was swamp. and I said, who would live here? You can't go outside. It wasn't a place I chose to live. I had a choice, so I didn't live there. If people are moving in here and they don't have place to roam, they're going to impact the wetlands. There's going to be debris, there's going to be trash. On Harvard Street, there's trash on my front lawn, and it's just the way it is, right? Like, it's not necessarily malintent. People don't dislike me, I don't think, but it happens. So you're going to have impact to these areas. You can't say that there's no impact. You can try to mitigate, you can adhere to the letter of the law, but you're not adhering to its spirit. And the other piece that I wanted to address was the 1-to-1 restoration or the 2-to-1 restoration, if we get to that. We're not pulling the land for that restoration from nowhere. It's currently also ecological habitat. So you're taking one habitat away to replicate another that you took away for pavement. And we're gonna call that a net gain. And I don't know how we can do that. So I just want to put that in your mind. Maybe it's forest and not wetland. I don't think that diminishes its value. The floods that happened 2 years ago. I live on Harvard Street. Harvard Street was a river. It was gushing. The elevation of the street is such that this steep street that you're creating on the left side that you were talking about earlier, it's going to have water pouring down it in a 500-year storm event, which we do get much more often. We get a lot of rain really quickly. On Harvard Street, there are areas that will flood, and you are impacting that. You can say that you are managing more stormwater than the current ecosystem is supporting. And I say BS, because you are replacing trees with pavement. So how are you capturing more rainwater functionally? When it hits that pavement at a velocity, it is not going to go into all of your designed berms and culverts and basins. It's going to go where water goes, downhill, and it's going to hit the street, and it's going to cause a mess. And I don't think we need more flooding mess in Leominster. And as an aside, if there's no wetlands ordinance for this town, and that is why we're all here, because we don't have that to fall back on, let's fix that. Like, I'd love to help fix that. And I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to say, professionally, this project shows a serious lack of creativity and an astounding disrespect for our city. And it's all you've done is maximize the financial gain of this land. And you don't seem to care about the people who are going to live there and the people who already live around us. This is a classic bedroom community. It's right next to the highway. What reason do these people have to participate in our community? And I realize that's more of a planning board issue, but to me, it's a part of the environment we're trying to foster as a community. This doesn't do that. It even has its own clubhouse when right next door is the local gym with a pool and a clubhouse. I don't understand this professionally. I don't understand it personally. And I would say to this commission, you have your purview, you have the things that you can look at and the steps that you can take. But I will say, as your constituent, as your neighbor, we are counting on you to help us make this community the place that we want to live. So please look at the spirit of these laws and not just the letter of them, because that impact matters to all of us every day. Thanks.
Just before you get going, I know we have a lot of people here, so just in the interest of giving everyone an opportunity to speak, without getting to an unreasonable hour, I'm gonna, just try to keep it to a couple minutes. If you have questions beyond that, please ask them. I appreciate you guys coming out here, but just wanted to say that.
So my name is Jerry Millett. I live at 58 Sky Lane. And I was going to talk about the stormwater, but we kind of beat that to death, and we know where that stands.
Thank you for not repeating it.
So we've been working hard to try to stop this project from the time we got noticed on it. We've been working the phones and sending emails and such. Now, we've spoken to environmental specialists from level 1 to level 5 and looking for their help. Now, officially, they're not going to step in. Why? Because they don't want to bite the hand that feeds them, and they don't want to be seen as going against the grain. Off the record, they're willing to talk to you. So off the record, what they're telling us about this project is it's over-aggressive. It's, what was the other word they used? That was over-aggressive. It's kind of nervous up here.
Take your time.
Overreaching, and the density level was way too extreme for this project. That's off the record. We went and talked to environmental lawyers, okay, from Boston to Western Mass. Those guys made us fill out forms as far as conflict of interest. Off the record, they're saying the same thing, but they can't get involved because it might be a conflict of interest. So everybody's willing to talk about this off the record. And so we're still contacting people to get someone who's willing to go on the record about this project. But none of these people have agreed that this is a project that is viable in the manner of that it's put up there as a plan of action there. Now, the only reason why this project is as big as it is, it's a money thing. It's a money thing. That's why it's national. And so as far as peer review, if these people were if they were part of the peer review, they turn it down because they don't want to be a part of the problem as far as blacklisted, as far as work in the future. And that's what's going on here. So when you talk about peer review, the people that you're going to go to are looking for work from these guys in the future. So so every time we talk to someone or a lawyer, they'll tell us, hey, you need to contact this person who's outside that circle and who may be able to help you. And so little by little, we're getting to where we need to get to. But as far as this project, and everybody speaking, I know I'm talking in circles, but off the record, not one of those people from Boston to Western Mass, and then someone out of state, the same thing, has said that they didn't see an issue with it. Every one of them had a problem with it. And somehow, it's going through in the city. And I don't know why you guys didn't take these plans, even if you went to someone off the record and say, listen, tell me what's going on here, and is this viable, and what's the upside, what's the downside? That's all you had to do. And we did it, and we're continuing to do it. And the problem is, it just seems like we're doing your job for you. And it's not just you, but it's the planning board as well. And as far as this road to nowhere that we've got stuck back there, that was all sleight of hand, right? That land got turned over to the city somehow in a transaction. A grant was put in, taxpayer money, to build the infrastructure to that road.
Sir, is this relevant to the project?
Yes, it is relevant to the project because in order to be deeded, is going to be given back in some sort of manner, legally, egress, so that they can use that part of the roadway. Without it, you can't get any large trucks in there. So we've already, as taxpayers, paid for that road, and this project hasn't even spent a dime on that road. We paid for that. And I just think, overall, again, off the record, these guys, I believed what they were telling us. And all of them were honest about it. And like I said, it was from a level 1 to a level 5. And so we spoke to as many people as we could, and none of them agree with any of these things that these guys are saying.
Thank you. If I could just one quick tip, come on up. If we could try to keep this germane to the wetland issues, that is our purview. This is not the zoning board, it's not the planning board, this is wetlands. This is the Conservation Commission. Please keep your comments related to the wetlands. Thank you.
Hi.
I want to follow up on that quickly. Jesse, when did you send us these plans? How long ago? How many days? We were accused of them doing our job for us. We just got them, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree.
Was it a week ago? 2 weeks?
It's been
Probably
less
a
than
couple
2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks, sir.
Couple weeks ago.
Just to let you know.
Yeah.
So we're just starting to look at them.
I think Haley Brady, 200 Harvard Street, I think everybody's just frustrated because of the way they were able to skirt around every protection of the city. They took it out of city council's hands, they took it out of planning board's hands, they twisted the rules to force everybody to do exactly what they wanted. And I think everybody's just concerned that they don't do the same with conservation. Speaking to the species, this was a project from 2018. I believe it's on the target side, but from the city, identifying some bats and begonia, whatever agency it was. This was from my plant app back there. Obviously, I would need a review because I don't know what a rare grass looks like. I wanted to speak to the intermittent stream. It got changed from perennial to intermittent. And as I was listening to the conservation meeting, Mr. Morrow offered evidence from September and November 2019 showing it as dry, which I thought was weird because I went through my camera roll and you can see my dog in 2019 with metadata sitting in that stream. All these were taken before the no trespass order, just putting that out there. I also did just want to show you one of the vernal pools. I know they were saying it's drying out. It's not, it's huge. It's a giant swamp. There has to be some more protections than what is being offered there, because this one, the one to the right of the walkway there, that's the larger of the two. It doesn't empty out. That is still probably 5 feet right now. The one to the left is the smaller of the two. Right now, well, prior to when you no trespassed us, it wasn't quite dry. And being this late in the season, still having some water in it, they're pretty significant water sources. I want to speak to the corridors. I can tell you the natural corridors right now extend from those wetlands, the intermittent stream. They go to the space behind the Coakley's residence and Gary and Bonnie's, where there's also wetland systems there. All of these are kind of interconnected, and I am afraid that by replicating it, moving them, you're going to change the flow of all those systems as well, not only destroying what's on this land, but everything that feeds it, or that it feeds. You're pretty much decimating a whole area. I think that's pretty much all I had, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman?
Can I just ask one question of the,
Sure.
You talked about bringing in loam and so forth, screened loam.
That's correct.
How do we prevent it from being PFAS, right? Is it going to be tested for PFAS if they're bringing in this loam from we don't know where to put into that ground? Who's going to test for that?
Okay, so PFAS from the loam or any type of, there are certain, like for example, Mass Naturals over in Westminster, we're using short paper fiber for their loam. So if it's ground loam, there's no current testing requirement. If the commission wants to add a condition to that, that would be up to the commission.
So
But
you
there's
could
no
just-
current, as long as it's from a reliable source that's known not to use any of the materials that they would mix in with their loam, that would contain PFAS, then it's assumed that it's okay.
If there's no PFAS now, there's nothing to stop you from bringing that in.
Nothing to stop anybody from bringing it in at any time, yeah.
But there's none now.
I don't even know if it's in there. It's PFAS is something that's everywhere, but I mean, that's a legit question. So we will explore that. That's a legit
So
question.
when they bring in these tons of dirt to backfill in where they're talking about, it could be, and now what do you have? You have this site with all these tenants sitting on PFAS soil. Now what's that gonna be, a ghost town? Like, who's gonna prevent that from happening? Like, who's testing for that? Because that soil's gotta go somewhere, and they're gonna use it in some capacity. They used it the soil was used up in Templeton on a high school field for it's PFAS, and now they can't even use it. So if they bring in the soil to backfill these areas, and then the people living there realize that they're walking around with PFAS soil all around them, who's gonna pay for that cleanup? How's that gonna work?
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, with regard, again, with regard to the stream status and the ANRAD, the ANRAD is final until 2027.
Yep.
And again, the pictures I showed were pictures during a non-drought period that were time-stamped and geolocated and presented to the commission. I believe some of you guys were on the board at that time and actually reviewed my data and the metadata that I included with it. You also walked the site and saw the stream dry. So, I mean, the one thing about the Wetland Protection Act, and when it comes to the 4-day period, that is misunderstood. It is not 4 consecutive days. It's any 4 days within a 12-month period from January to December. So if I see the stream dry in February, and I see it again in April, and I see it again in June, and I see it again in September, it's dry.
Could I just ask?
Let him finish.
Oh, sorry.
So that's a common misunderstanding. So I just wanted to add that for emphasis. I don't want to belabor it. We went over it with a fine-tooth comb. I just don't want to belabor the point because the ANRAD's final. So continuing this is not productive.
Okay.
All right. I just wanted to ask, it was dry in September and November, but that photo's from October. Usually they don't.
Okay.
And that's fine. It's not that I don't believe her photographs. Again, that was the reason why I stressed the point. It doesn't have to be 4 consecutive days.
Yeah, I remember
So
this discussion
it's possible.
distinctly, yeah.
Yeah.
Sir.
Good evening. Serge Pan, Dr. Serge Pan, 49 Sky Lane, Abutter.
Yep.
Before I begin, I wanted just to say that my wife and I had a pleasure just in the middle of the day today to observe 2 beautiful bald eagles right on top of this. Right on top, beautiful. Anyway, I wanted to bring up a couple points speaking in opposition to this project on the record. Number one, most of the project site plan images are presented in a view from above, which might be confusing. Please request the applicant to always show the sideway view of the project details along with the bird's eye view. That would show how exactly applicant is planning to regrade every part of the project, trim down or elevate. Judging from just the elevation lines shown on the site plan, the project site contains slopes reaching up to 30% grade, which significantly increases the risk of soil erosion, sediment runoff, and destabilization during construction, but even more importantly, after construction. Such steep topography demands a realistic, comprehensive, robust, and enforceable erosion and sediment control plan to prevent adverse impacts on downstream wetlands, water quality, and adjacent properties. Current project plan does not adequately address the slope-related erosion concerns, nor does it provide a measurable performance standards or contingencies for the failure. Steep slopes of 20% or greater are widely recognized as highly susceptible to accelerated erosion, especially during storm and flood events. The lack of planning in this project could lead to increased sediment loads entering wetlands and waterways, degrading aquatic habitat, and impairing water quality. Loss of soil stability leading to slope failures and mass wasting events. Disruption of natural hydrology and increased runoff velocity, which exacerbate flooding and downstream erosion. To address these risks, we ask the Commission to require the applicant to submit site-specific erosion control measures tailored to steep slopes, a detailed plan limiting exposed soil duration and sequencing to prevent any erosion potential, realistic and transparent plan for post-construction annual inspection and maintenance protocols to ensure long-term stabilization. Given the ecological sensitivity of the site and the critical need to protect adjacent wetlands and waterways, the Conservation Commission hopefully should insist on detailed, enforceable erosion stabilization plan that complies with Massachusetts stormwater standards and Massachusetts erosion and sediment control guidelines for urban and suburban areas. March 1997, Mass DEP. Failure to request these measures risks significant environmental harm and non-compliance with the state wetland protection standards. My point number 2. It's more like an essay this time.
Can you keep your essay kind of brief?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Very short essay.
Thank you.
Did the applicant or anyone else count how many hundreds of perfectly healthy trees and bushes will be cut down within the area of at least 17.5 acres percept larger? From the map, the project...
Sir, if I may, the upland portion is not within our purview.
So trees are no bother.
If they're not in the wetland, they are, or in the buffer, they are not part of our purview. No.
Okay.
We get up to 100 feet from a wetland, 200 feet from a surface water, and that's it. Anything 1 foot beyond, we have no authority.
Okay, I got it. So cutting down the hundreds of trees doesn't matter. Okay, thank you.
Sir, we didn't say it doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but it's not part of our purview. We can't control that.
Respectfully, got it.
Please don't put words in our mouth. Thank you.
Yeah. So my point number 3 then. I'm deeply concerned about the lack of realistic snow removal routine and its adverse effect on the wetland. We all know that even if the perfect plan for the snow removal exists and is in place, when the hired plow truck arrives, any experienced hired plow contractor will do his job as quickly and efficiently as possible. This means that no matter what, absent the impermeable physical barrier wall between the project site and the forest, and at least 100 feet buffer zone, considering how densely packed area is inside the project site, the plow contractor might have no other choice but simply push the mixture of snow and salt and occasional trash into the forest downhill directly onto adjacent lots. Since the project apparently would be positioned at a higher elevation, such snow-salt mix will end up melting and flowing down directly to the wetland, vernal pools, and the creeks with easy predictable adverse effect. I respectfully ask Commission to demand at least 100 feet buffer zone between the project site and abutting properties which contain wetland. Demand the solution construction of the impermeable wall surrounding the project site so that not a single cubic foot of salted snow would end up in the forest wetland, and conduct independent study on the drainage capacity of the project site, accommodate snow melting in case of the super heavy snowfall, and establish a realistic, transparent, and enforceable mechanism for penalties for dumping snow into the forest and subsequently into the wetland. In conclusion, thank you for listening. I would not even think to bring up another point of possibility of this project creating an easy pass for rats and other invasive vermin into the habitat of endangered species. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you mind if I received a letter from an abutter, and I mean, to be honest, I think most of these concerns have already been addressed by the applicant, but I gave him my word that I would read it into the record, so I want to read it now before I forget to do so. This is from David Harper at 37 Forsyth Road. I respectfully dispute the notice of intent's assertion that no endangered species are present or threatened within the project site. Photographic evidence captured prior to when the property was posted for no trespassing indicates the presence of at least 4 endangered species currently inhabiting the area. These species are protected under the MISA MGL 131A, which prohibits the take of any plant or species listed as endangered, threatened, or special concern. The hydrology of the areas was altered after the filing of the Order of Resource Area Delineation in 2022. Multiple potential vernal pools are currently under review by Mass DEP for certification. These vernal pools are critical habitat for various species and are afforded protection under the Wetlands Protection Act. Given these developments, I request that the Conservation Commission mandate a comprehensive scientific peer review, including an actual site visit to assess the presence of protected endangered flora and fauna. This review should not be based solely on the data provided in the Notice of Intent or the 2022 ORAD, which may not accurately reflect the current conditions of the site following the 2023 flooding. I urge the Commission to act prudently to defend the rights of protected endangered species and ensure that all necessary evaluations are completed before proceeding with this project. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Donna Mollett, 58 Sky Lane. I did want to submit for you, if it helps you at all, looks like a order of conditions, a map of the entire project, including this residential that was signed and submitted July 26, 2005. This is the same project. So that also means, here we go, because there's some question, I guess, where the records are. We tried to obtain the records and they're not able to be found. Someone said they were thrown away. I'm not sure, but they are available, and it is the same site, in fact. So I do gratefully appreciate that you are requesting an increase in the ratio from the replication area. What I found is that the Wetlands Protection Act empowers you as local commissions to give you the jurisdiction to require it beyond requesting it. We are requesting that you follow through and require the protection of wildlife habitat, protection of water supply. Protection is afforded through your clear jurisdiction in imposing these requirements of a much higher replication ratios. My personal significant concern is the likelihood of success because of the locations that the NOI has identified for the areas that are being sacrificed, where you're going to replicate them. They're not even similar in elevation or in the wetland. The terrain is so different that I find it concerning that you're going to take something that was at a certain elevation in nature and you're going to put it on a slope that has no ability to retain water naturally, doesn't replicate the hydraulic conditions at all for the wetland function. I respectfully request a detailed topographic survey looking at no greater than 1 foot contour intervals showing existing and proposed grades. I'd like to see more specific replication design plans than just a number of plants that are going to be. I feel very strongly, as so many of us have said, that this area cannot sustain this. The very casual and conversational reference of 9 buildings, count them, there's 11. They're not counting a massive swimming pool area or the administration building. They exist. They exist for the purpose of generating revenue. Everybody needs to have a place to live. You don't need this many buildings. You don't need this much overreach into areas that you are going to then replicate on a slope. Please take a closer look at what is being proposed. I've been so refreshed to hear that you are taking this personally and seriously, because you are our last hope for this neighborhood, for this wetlands environment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Justin Harrison. I'm an Eagle Scout in progress with Troop 12.
Address, please.
12 Ridge Road, Leominster, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
I'm an Eagle Scout in progress. I've also taken several classes in environmental science, including some at Fitchburg State University through the LHS dual enrollment program. So considering what I learned this year from graduating as a senior, why is this land not protected under the Soil and Conservation Act of 1935?
Matt, you have the answer for that? I don't.
I have no answer for that.
Okay.
I'll research it.
Is there something germane to in that act that makes you ask that?
Yes.
Can I have that map?
Have what?
Can I have that map that the lady had brought up?
Yeah, sure.
Just want to take a look at it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We just want to make sure that it's relevant, just because neither one of us have heard of it, so.
Yeah, it's a new one for me.
So
Sounds like it has something to do with the Dust Bowl.
It is,
My favorite.
correct, sir. So it was enacted by the 47th United States Congress. It's been effective since February 29th of 1936. So 49 states include this, and it was enacted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So this, So this means that the Soil Conservation Act of 1935 passed Public L 74 through 461 and renaming the legislation of Soil Conservation and Domestic Allotment Act with the express purpose of encouraging the use of soil resources in such a manner as to preserve and improve fertility and to promote economic use, and diminish the exploitation of unprofitable use of natural soil resources. So if we were to also compare this to 1040 of the 310 CMR, it states for D, the squaring off of fields and bogs, provided that the activity does not alter a bordering vegetated wetland, there's no increase in the amount of land in production beyond the minimum increase necessarily resulted from making the boundary of any field or bog more regular, and no fill is placed within bordering land subject to flooding. So this also means that E, the construction of bypass channels, canals, and channels to tail water recovery systems. F, a change in commodity other than from maple sap production or forest products to any other commodity, provided that there is no filling of bordering vegetated wetland and drainage ditches or the subsurface drainage system are not increased or enlarged. If you were to build a drainage system, I'm fairly certain you have to enlarge it over time. If you were to add a pool, you also have to take in consideration chlorine is, I believe, still classified as a toxic gas. So it's also, it seeps into things very easily. Let's put it that way. I also do geology as a side hobby. So another thing I would also like to state is that, or I have a question, is when would you be doing the replication of the wetland area?
If I may?
Please.
First of all, my compliments. Very well done. Second of all, it would have to go first. So it would be the very first thing that would be done. So they would have to, when they started doing their site clearing work, the first piece of construction that have to work after vegetative clearing would be the wetland replication. So that would have to be done prior to any of the other construction commencing.
Okay, and so when would you would be doing this construction?
I can't answer that question because the approval process is,
is limited.
It moves at the speed of government, so.
Well, considering how our government's moving now.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, he has no idea if or even when this project will be approved, so he can't answer the question in terms of when construction will start.
To continue on with this about the replication, I understand you're going to do a 1 to 1.5 replication ratio, but are you taking into consideration that if you scoop up the soil, as she stated earlier, that you can't just put it on an incline? The effects of the water drop off, first of all, you're taking an ecosystem, a micro ecosystem, and moving it onto a water table that is at an angle. So that means that everything's going to go down. Even if you use like some sort of pump system or something like that, it still wouldn't help, because like, what if you do your replication time the exact time as the yellow spotted lizards are reproducing and their eggs are in the water? Or I know a lot of animals do put their, I think it's the African bullfrog, they actually burrow down into the dirt to lay their eggs because it is more safe for them. So I also pulled up for 310 CMR continued for, it's before the fourth one, but 10.02, activities conducted to maintain, repair, or replace, but not substantially change or enlarge an existing and lawfully located structure or facility used in the service of public and used to provide electric, gas, water, sewer, telephone, telegraph, and other communication services, provided said work utilizes the best practical measures to avoid or minimize impacts to wetland resource areas outside the footprint of said structure or facility. The project component claiming that work to remove, fill, dredge, or alter an area specified in 310 CMR 10.2 bracket 1 does not require the filling of notice of intent and has the burden of establishing that work is not subject of regulation under MGL C 131 and 40. So,
please.
Okay, so to answer that question, and again, an excellent question, what you're quoting is actually the exemption criteria for existing roads. So, for example, if the Leominster DPW wants to regrind and change out the catch basins and there's a wetland adjacent, they can do that without having to file a notice of intent, as long as they don't go out of the road right-of-way. If they go out of the road right-of-way and go into the buffer zone or touch a wetland, it then would require the filing of a notice of intent. There's no exemption criteria here that would apply. That's why we're here, and that's why everybody else is here. So, to answer your question on the wetland replication, which again is a very good one, timing of year is very important. You're definitely not going to want to go in there like early spring when everything is swamped out. You would be defeating the purpose. So you'd want to actually do your wetland replication in late spring, even in like late winter before the spring melt. you'd want to start at least your excavation work, but normally I recommend late spring. That's because in late spring you can still plant your mitigation planting. So the way the Wetland Protection Act is written for these types of crossings, you do your wetland replication, and I think the concerns about the elevation are well thought out. So when we do look for expanding the wetland replication that I know the commission is asking for, we are going to take that into consideration. But you are correct. The timing of year is very important and will be considered as a factor during construction. Absolutely.
I would also like to bring up to your guys' attention. The wetlands is much like if we were to think about the Nashua River, I'd say back right when World War II was starting. I think I can remember quoting a book by John Tata, I think it's The Boy from the Plastic City. He said that you could go to the Nashua River any time of the year and put your toe in the water and it would feel like cardboard because of the water processing was very bad. I understand that's changed, but if we were to actually go to where my house is, it's located up on French Hill. We weren't affected by the last flood because we were up on a hill. So if we were to think about now, we've been experiencing a drought. We experienced a drought last year. So bringing up to a concern of how are you going to make sure that the water and the animals and so forth. I remember you stating that you would have...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're now running on 11 minutes. We kind of ask people to be brief. Can you kind of wrap this up, please?
Sure. Pretty much, how will you make sure that these this water system and water table will not be moved even with construction?
I think that's... I'm sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, and that's fine. So essentially what we're doing is we're utilizing the stormwater management system to allow for pre and post development flows to be balanced, including the groundwater hydrology, hence the infiltration basins. So that's basically what we are proposing in this application. That's, again, you ask a lot of excellent questions, and I just want to say thank you. That was very well done.
Thank you. I also, before I leave, I would like to also ask you to please, when you are bringing up this, if this does get enacted, please also include a list of leaders and heads for your biology science and ecology science heads. And please also cite their education and their research and everything else that they've done.
So I think what he's asking the commission to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's asking the commission if at some point you decide to issue an order of conditions, you want a list of all of the lead personnel that are going to be on the site, who they are, probably curriculum vitae, resumes, nothing out of the ordinary. That actually is something that is commonly required in the industry. And again, it's an excellent point. I don't have any problem with that being provided.
Okay.
And we have a bunch of pros on this project.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm sorry I'm running over. I forgot that my mom also had a question. Have you assessed the CO2 and O2 ratio change and impact on global warming, along with the electrical impact on global warming? And how will you address the impact on global warming?
If I may, Matt, it has nothing to do with wetlands, sir. That's not under our purview. We're not prepared to answer that question. I don't think Matt may want to, but that question has nothing to do with the wetlands.
Yeah, that's a question I cannot answer now.
Yeah.
I would just like to bring up from experience.
And again, if you could wrap it up, please. We really appreciate it.
From what I learned, a lot of wetlands use, can't remember the direct term, but they take the carbon from the air and put it into water systems.
Yeah, the carbon sink.
Yep, carbon sink. Thank you. Which then also produces algae, which uses photosynthesis to multiply and to continue to enlarge. So how are you going to prevent these storm drains and stuff from getting like algae and other things like that, and breeding mosquitoes and West Nile virus?
So the stormwater management structure has a maintenance component. It's a regular routine maintenance that needs to be enforced. So it would involve cleaning out the catch basins, cleaning out the detention centers. As long as those areas are maintained, the issues that you're citing, which are legit, actually probably wouldn't be a problem at this point. It's not, mosquito breeding habitats and storm drainage systems isn't usually a widespread issue. It's abuse of the stormwater systems. That's a nationwide issue.
Okay.
Can I ask you to wrap it up, please?
Yeah,
We're over 15 minutes now.
I said I was going to say, okay, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Good questions. A little long, but good questions. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
It's a race.
My name is Irene Butler. I am a resident of Brown Avenue. We are through the woods, actually, from where this proposed project is going to take place. We've been there for 30 years. In that time, we have had many salamander visitors. When we first went there, we did receive the black spotted ones. And then we had your normal, I don't know what they're called, but the regular salamanders. And after the Target project, we didn't have the black spotted ones any longer. They didn't come through. And the other salamander population has diminished. We also used to have bats and other wildlife that would come into the yard. We're no longer seeing those. Our squirrels, which should be pretty common, we get 1 or 2 of those, a month. So overall, we are seeing a drastic reduction in the wildlife that is surrounding us. Number 2, our soil is primarily clay, which at one time, as a good car salesman would do, sold it to us as, this is great, this is land cap quality clay. Your grass will be green and all this other stuff. Well, it also, water accumulates on that. So what they did is, in our particular situation, is they put drainage along the back of their yards. They did the plastic tubes with the holes and the crushed stone and all that good stuff. So over a period of maybe 2 or 3 years, the ones of us that were lucky, that just basically filled in over time and became part of it had grass and everything. A couple of other neighbors were unfortunate, and their stuff, one man actually, you could put a boat in his backyard with bad storms and whatever. So if they're planning on using that same type of drainage to take care of any flooding or any of this other stuff, if they're using the same type of thing, you may want to double check to see what the soil material is. And I would probably think that it would be a good idea to check on how long they will be responsible for maintaining it, because with all this land runoff, with all the water runoff, you're going to see more flooding and more issues. Nobody helped the people in my neighborhood. 3 years out, 5 years out, the guy who you could put a boat in his backyard, nobody helped him. One of my neighbors put in a French drain 25 years ago that cost her $10,000 to get rid of the flooding in her house. And we were told the clay had a lot to do with it, and also the drainages were starting to fill in with silt and things of that nature. So these are problems I think that you may see. And I think maybe the part of this issue is that this is such a huge project. The magnitude is overwhelming, and I think many of us feel blindsided as to all the stuff that's going on. Couldn't possibly do the research to keep up with this, only found out about it a few days ago. But just saying that before you take the giant step, there might be a few things you want to take a further look into, because it will become the city of Leominster's problem if they do not stand by their product and what they're doing. And as far as these poor animals and things go, you're right. No, they're not going to know how to follow that plan. And they're not. If you don't get them to pull away from this, there's going to be more loss of habitat. Relocating a wetland area is a difficult, and it's not always successful, and it usually results in the loss of some species. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Haley. I live at 219 Harvard Street, and today I am here to request that we have a clear and enforceable monitoring and maintenance plan for the wetlands replication area that complies with 310 CMR 10.55 Section 4 as referenced earlier of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act regulations. This regulation requires that by the end of the second growing season, the replication area must achieve a minimum of 75% vegetative cover and demonstrate functional equivalency to the impacted wetlands. Just requesting the Commission to clarify with them what the specific benchmarks and measurable criteria will be used to evaluate compliance with the 75% vegetative cover and functional equivalency standards, what the detailed monitoring schedule, including timing and frequency of site inspections, reporting requirements, and responsible parties, and then what enforcement mechanisms and contingencies are in place if the replication fails to meet those criteria by the end of 2 growing seasons. And then last but not least, what are the enforceable penalties, including fines or remedial actions if the applicant fails to comply with your replication standards. Given the current wetlands on the applicant's adjacent property are littered with debris, there is substantial reason to doubt future compliance with the replication standards on this property without rigorous oversight, without rigorous oversight and enforceable consequences. The failure to maintain the wetland's integrity not only threatens the critical wildlife habitat, but also undermines flood control and the storm damage prevention functions protected under the WPA. And we just believe it is imperative that the Commission requires a comprehensive, enforceable monitoring and maintenance plan with those clear, measurable bind marks and binding penalties. Without such a plan, that potentially weak replication proposal risks becoming another failed mitigation effort, resulting in potential permanent harm to those protected wetland values. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Matt, do you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, actually, the notice of intent and the replication protocol that is proposed meets the standards that were being quoted, and I actually agree with a rigorous monitoring schedule should be required. I did propose a basic one in the notice of intent, but those are always subject to change and subject to modification upon agreement with the Conservation Commission. So what will wind up happening is once the replication is planted and put into place, it would require monthly monitoring for the first year, reports for the life of the permit, which actually would be 3 years, to show that the 75% has been achieved. So the monitoring reports formally would need to be turned in on June and October, which would be mid to end of growing season of each year. It is estimated, based on what is shown on the plan, that 75% could be achieved. If it's not achieved, that would have to be monitored during the growth phase, and any plants that didn't survive, or if there wasn't the growth that was actually accounted for, it would have to be redone and continue to be done until successful. That's what's usually done in the wetland replication standards. So yeah, when it comes to that, I actually agree with what the young lady just said. It should have a strict monitoring schedule and oversight. That's an industry standard, and I think the Commission should act no different here.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely be looking at the replication plan and the reporting requirements, absolutely. Thank you for that, I appreciate it. Ma'am.
Hi, Kristen Howlett, 33 Sky Lane, and I am in a butter. I have a question, clarification on the parcel identification and the confirmation of the delineation. Again, looking at all the different maps, the significant inconsistencies exist regarding the zoning boundaries and the parcel identification within the project documentation. The NOI and the project plan identified the site as parcel lot 1C, map 386, block 4. However, the drainage report refers to the address as 86 Orchard Park Hill Drive, and in some figures associated with the area with lot 1B, which raises some important questions. And this goes to what Jerry was saying about that egress on the other end. Does any portion of the proposed work encroach upon Lot 1B or extend beyond the boundaries certified under the Order of Resource Area Delineation, 199-1166? If so, would this not trigger the requirement for a new filing or an amended notice of intent to address the additional impacts or changes in the project scope? We do feel like there's wetlands that are up there that are already documented. For transparency and proper regulatory oversight, we request that the Commission require the applicant provide a clear, accurate delineation of all affected parcels and the exact project limits. This clarification should be formally documented in the public record to ensure comprehensive review and compliance with applicable regulations. So basically, we want to get it into the public record that the NOI reference the areas of wetlands not included in the most recent order of resource area delineation, and would like that to be corrected before you vote on any conditions. Thank you. Oh, and I do have actually one other thing. I have a question. As an abutter, what's closest to me on the map is a parking lot. And I have documented wetlands on my land in the back section. How do I protect my wetlands from getting salted and everything else with the snow?
About how far are we talking here? Any idea? Ish. Oh yeah, are you uphill or downhill from?
Yeah.
You are downhill. Okay. Any idea how far? No. Okay.
Yeah. I mean. There's not that much, as big as this is, there's not that much land back there, unfortunately.
Okay, so that final question, ask that question again.
So how do you, me, all of us protect my wetlands? And they're documented, you know, it's in the map as wetlands, from getting ruined by the parking lot that's adjacent.
Is there anything you're prepared to address, Matt? Or Eric?
I mean, I'll talk to Eric as far as the grading goes and the elevation differences between Ms. Jelinas' property and this development. So.
Do you need to have her tell you which property she's talking about?
Yeah, I can see where her lot is marked on this thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
you're right here.
10, I think.
Yeah, you can see it right here. And as far as the as far as the ANRAD goes, again, the ANRAD is the final ANRAD.
Yeah.
Everything that was certified on that ANRAD is shown on this plan. It's final. Why? I mean, I'm not going to belabor the ANRAD at this point because I went to great pains to make sure that this thing was thoroughly reviewed. As a matter of fact, Ms. Jelinas, you were at the hearing when this thing actually got...
And I requested another review, and it was denied by that city commission.
That's correct. That's correct.
But the commission before that, before COVID, agreed to it. So
there was a third-party review on the property.
I'm agreeing with Mr. Rollins about needing another one. And again, this is my backyard, right? I fully admit it.
Sure. Oh, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, but I'm not even referring to the ANRAD. I'm just saying the plans that have wetlands on the plan, the egress is not counted as part of your acreage. That's all.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it, sure.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I just have a quick question.
Please.
Brenda Moses, 8 Ridgewood Circle.
I'm sorry, 8 what?
8 Ridgewood Circle.
Thank you.
I know that there's a lot of requests from everyone for you guys to look into stuff and for them to look into things. How are we going to ensure that all these have been looked into by the 26th meeting so we can all have some kind of answers or direction as to where we're going?
Well, first of all, I encourage you, anybody's interested, to come back on the 26th.
Are there going to be minutes that say that this is what you guys, we've requested a few people to look into and we've requested them to look into certain things?
Jesse, can we have minutes prepared by the 26th?
Do you guys want to have your hearing? Do you want it on the 26th, or do you want a little more time to maybe go over?
You guys have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
From what I'm seeing,
we have a
anyways.
lot of requests, so I mean that's up to them as far as when they would rather.
I'm pretty sure if we don't have all the answers, like most of these people are not going to be happy. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
This is our neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And we love it. So I just wanted to, if
And
they
the
need to push.
No, that is out.
You know what I mean?
I will say
It would make
that
sense.
I think that we've spoken about what grants us jurisdiction, and any concerns that have been raised that pertain to our purview and our jurisdiction will be addressed.
Okay.
Also, one thing, if we push it past the 26th, which is I'm perfectly fine with me, I will not be here on September 9th. I've got an engagement elsewhere, so then.
Oh, I don't think that's okay.
But we're now talking the 20. No, but now I want. Trust me, I want to be here.
Okay.
I've come this far.
All right. Thank you.
Which means we're pushing it to the 23rd.
He doesn't have to be here. September 9th is one we'd like
You want to go the 9th?
Yeah.
That means you're chairing. But I'm sorry, that's a conversation you guys need to be part of.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody else
I
gonna
mean,
be
if we end up deciding that the 23rd is a better date, then can we let you guys know in the meantime, and can you be amenable to that, to potentially having it on the 23rd? Or is that something that might end up being an issue?
I think that's something we could look at.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Don't have an answer for that
There's just a
tonight.
whole
Yeah,
bunch.
that's fine. That's
No.
fine.
A lot of info.
No, fair. It's an absolutely fair question.
I think the 9th would be a good date.
Okay.
All right, we'll do what we have to. Okay.
I was going to say, is the rest of the commission going to be at the meeting, or? Yes? Okay.
As far as we know, yeah. Yeah.
And then, I mean, you can watch the video, and the Mullins rule
Yeah.
would apply on that, so.
Yep, okay. All right. All right, good. Okay, all right. Anybody else?
I just have a question about that. Is there,
Can you come on up to the microphone, please? Sorry.
sure, yes.
And state your name again.
Liz Macarella,
Thank you.
75 Harvard Street. I think I would feel better if you were present at the next meeting. I think probably many of us would feel that way. I think it strikes me, it would strike me as
They
sort
like
of a
me. They really
shifty
like me.
move to not have that happen. So,
Sorry, you gotta be an old fart to get that. I know, right?
yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah,
It's
I
just been
appreciate
a lot
that.
of
Okay.
sleight of hand here, and we've had a lot of things slipped by us, and this
Yep.
feels like that. Whether it is intended that way or not, it will be perceived that way.
And I appreciate that. And it's also possible that I can get out of that thing on the 9th, so we'll see what happens. But thank you for your input. So did you
Yeah,
just state your name again real quick, please?
Haley, 200 Harvard Street.
Thank you.
We were talking about third-party reviews. Dr. Christine Hoffman did say she'll be in the area in a couple days, herpetologist, ecologist. Her postdoctorate work was on amphibians and the relation to suburban communities. Her list of accreditations is very, very long. I think I sent it to Jesse. If the applicant's willing to let her have access to the site, she'd be more than happy to offer a completely unbiased opinion.
All right, thank you.
Could we ask a question? Would they be amenable?
I can't answer that. I have to talk to my clients about that. So I'm in no position to answer that.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll put this out there. I'm sure everyone's going to want to know what the next meeting date is, and it doesn't sound like we're figuring that out tonight. So I will update if you look at the Leominster Conservation Commission, we have our own website on the city website. We have our own page. So when we have agreed on a date, I'll post that there so that everyone can see it.
Well,
Sure.
we're going to request a continuance to the September 9th meeting.
Okay.
If it changes, let us know.
Okay. All right. Sir.
My name is Stephen Hemingway. I'm at 7 White Street. Not immediately abutting, but I can see them all from my house, or where I live anyway. A question for you guys. Is there another comparable location in Leominster that is this high densely populated, that we could have 1,000 people into such a small area?
We don't consider population density as just, there's nothing in the, like our authority and our jurisdiction comes from the Wetlands Protection Act, which does not deal with population density, or, that's more of a
That's actually a planning board question.
We can consider the impacts of the population density, not the relative state, though.
And we would have no idea what other similar projects around Leominster. It's again.
Yeah, honestly, not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to ask with that is because our immediate neighborhood in the area is, let's just say, very in nature, and it's like you're not just thinking about this one specific lot in here. You're also realizing that you're taking up all of the area around the wetlands minus just that one conservation place up at the top, because you already have the mall there and it's substantially above it. So There's no nature on that side whatsoever. It's only noise, it's only people. So I don't know how you're expecting there to be any sort of animals or nature in these areas almost at all once you surround it on the opposite side with 1,000 people who are permanently going to be living there. It's it's basically just a puddle at that point. But that's all I had to really say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Rita Hemingway, 7 White Street. I'm concerned, what are they gonna do for garbage? Where's the garbage collection site? And will you be able to keep it off of the abutters' property when they're parking right there? Will you be able to keep it out of the wetlands so that it's not blowing everywhere? You know, because are they gonna be in individual buildings? Or are you gonna have a big dumping place? And where is it located? Close to wetlands or?
There are 2 screened trash enclosures with trash compactors on site. The exact location is...
Because I know just having garbage trucks go by, I have to pick up after them. So I'm wondering, when people bring stuff to the dump, to wherever they are they gonna still be impacting the wetlands and everything around them, and the neighbors?
So there are on-site trash enclosures. You know, they'd be managed by the facilities if there's any trash that makes it...
And they're compactors, not dumpsters.
Correct. All right.
Where, are they close to the wetlands?
I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I
Because people have to dump into them and things blow.
I'll have to get back to you and respond. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right. Well, seeing none, thank you all for your input. That was fantastic. Like I said, we never get this many friends. So thank you all for being here. It's nice to see all your smiling, shiny faces. With that, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing. I'll go for September 9th.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Nick. Is there a second?
Second.
And on that...
Hold on a second. Matt.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
I don't know how you guys are available, but the day after Labor Day, as much as I hate to say that word, September 2nd.
Yeah.
Maybe if you guys want to do a special meeting, that way if you have items on the agenda that are going to go for your
That we don't
9th
have to
meeting,
blow everyone up.
and that way we can just focus on this particular issue here. It's up to you guys. You guys.
Is that date good for everyone?
It's up to you guys. If they, yeah.
I can't consider every abutter, unfortunately.
Next time.
As much as I would like to, but I don't know. We can.
leave that up to the board.
Yeah, the day after Labor Day might be kind of tough anyway.
That's fine.
That's a good suggestion, though. But yeah,
definitely appreciate
I was
it.
just thinking of maybe doing something that was just a separate meeting where everybody didn't have to sit and listen to everything ahead. We just concentrate on this
Understood.
issue.
Good idea. But yeah, I have a feeling that might work. But we'll. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Matt. So, yeah. So there's a motion on the table to continue to September 9th. We had
September 9th is good.
Did Nick make that, I
Yeah.
believe?
Yeah.
Did
It was
anyone
a-
second
usually-
that?
Yeah, Steph in the second. Yeah.
Steph. Okay. How do you vote on that, Mike? Aye. Rich.
Aye.
Chuck.
Aye.
Steph.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
And Nick.
Aye.
All right.
All right. September 9th it is. No, sir. No, it's already.
If you want to call me or email me tomorrow, I'm happy.
We've already continued it.
The public portion is now.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the ethics answer be answered before we worry about the next meeting?
Personally, I think Matt has addressed that
I don't think
pretty effectively. I think he did.
I think we need that addressed before we worry about
All right,
any
so-
number of things.
We have a lot of homework to do before the
I
next
think
meeting.
that's the biggest thing.
Yep.
All right.
I agree.
So I am okay, if I could speak, because I view this as a personal attack on me.
Sir, one at a time.
So,
Go ahead.
well, I am respectfully and formally requesting that the commission direct its agent to call the Ethics Commission so that we can get this issue resolved once and for all.
Okay.
I was
I
gonna
will
ask
be
Jesse
more than
to do that.
happy, considering I've done this numerous times.
Will that include the full?
Sir, let him finish, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Just go ahead and call him.
That's very easy.
Jesse, you can take care of that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And that'll include everything, mixed use, non-mixed use.
They're the experts. We'll leave it to the experts.
Yeah,
So.
okay, thank you. So we're already done here, sir. Is this something new?
Just gonna ask, will that be made public? That's all, just whatever.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah, we'll give a summary when we open the hearing again, at the next meeting. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, of course.
All right. All right, thank you.
All right. Not too bad, 9:05. Yeah. If Rich is taking 5, I need to take 5 as well. I've been holding my bladder for about an hour and 55.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Honestly, it went a little bit more orderly
Yeah.
than I anticipated it.
Yeah.
I was going to make sure it did.
Nah, I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
Good job, Chuck.
Very good job, Chuck.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone, but in particular, Chuck.
All right, moving on. Under enforcement, nothing there. Meeting minutes, the July 22nd meetings weren't up, so.
Yeah, I do not have those. I will get those, and I'm sure these will be really fun to do.
Yeah.
It'll be a breeze. They'll write themselves, I'm sure.
Well, I was in here early yesterday. I left late yesterday. We'll see what happens. I want to leave early on Friday. Is what I'm planning. We'll see if this allows for that.
All right.
But so Wildflower Road, I think I already told just about everyone, but Kim Roth from Mass DEP said she's going to be going out there. I'm going to offer to tag along with her, but once we go take a look at it, I mean, it's under their purview, as I understand it, but I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Sounds good.
The conservation restriction, if you guys remember, we had that water quality report where we had finalized that, and Jake Fleming sent me the full copy of it, like certified by the DCR. That's up on the drive in this meeting folder. It's a long document. I think it's 160 something pages, but if anyone's interested, I haven't really given it a thorough look for obvious reasons, but I'll take a look at it and maybe come up with a summary at some point. And then we still have Lock Drive on there, which we're still waiting to see if they put in a more permanent barrier.
The reason,
Just leave it
can I
on
go
there.
back to that conservation restrictions?
Yeah.
The reason I suggested it was because in some towns, there's a number of conservation restrictions, and they correspond to particular
Different
parcels.
areas. Yeah.
And it makes, the mic's not on, sure. Is that, you telling me to turn the mic on, Johannes? Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Johannes. It wasn't on. The reason I asked is because they sometimes provide clear rules for discrete parcels. And I was just wondering if they might offer discrete guidance in particular areas. So maybe they do and maybe they don't. Maybe
I think it's up to us to review those. So.
Yeah.
Great. Like I said, I just haven't had the time to look into the specifics of the. I mean, maybe it could be in there for all I know. I haven't. It hasn't been number one on my list.
Yeah, I'll take a look at what you've uploaded there, Jesse.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Happy to
Appreciate your time.
browse it.
Yeah, you too. Cool. Everybody good?
All right, yeah, super. All right.
Yeah.
So what were you saying about 1771 Lock Drive?
Oh, just we're still waiting for a more, permanent barrier that can't just be rolled
Something.
out. So
Something, yeah.
Just leaving it on the agenda in the meantime.
No, appreciate it.
Actually, I haven't gone by in a bit. Maybe they could have done something out there for all I know.
Okay.
Take a look. I know Matt was talking to the owner about it, so.
Yeah, I know Matt wasn't that pleased with them before, so.
Yeah.
When we were on site. Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so next meetings. The next meeting is August 26th, 2025. The filing deadline was last Friday, August 8th at noon. And the following meeting, which we've already determined, is September 9th, 2025. The filing deadline will be August 29th, 2025 at noon. I will probably be there. So I think I really don't feel like watching this on TV after the fact, so I'll just get out of what I'm doing and be there. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you, Rich.
And on that vote, how do you vote, Jordan?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Rich?
Oh, yeah.
Chuck?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
And Mike?
What do you think about it?
Aye. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.